Hey, good morning, everyone. I'd like to call the meeting to order and acknowledge that we are in Treaty 1 territory, the home and traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, Ojibwe, Inuit, Cree, and Dakota peoples, and in the national homeland of the Red River Métis. Our drinking water comes from Shoal Lake 40 First Nation in Treaty 3 territory. My name is Cynthia Stevens, and I'll be chairing today's hearing. With me from the Board of Revision on Zoom are Ms. Gail Anderson and Mr. Marcel Laurendo. Our assessor this morning is Arif Das Mohammed, and our administrative personnel is Jaswinder Kumar. To the Zoom participants in the hearing, please note you are placed in the waiting room until your property is called upon. When it is your turn, you will be admitted into the meeting. Kindly follow along on the City of Winnipeg's Board of Revision YouTube channel for the hearing process. Once the host admits you into the hearing, please close or mute your YouTube player. You will then be permitted to speak with respect to your property. Once your hearing has concluded, you can leave the meeting. We will be hearing applications for revision of the assessment roll in accordance with the Municipal Assessment Act. The matters for which revision is requested have been described in each application, and we will limit discussion to those matters. The statements that are made at this hearing are sworn testimony, and anyone speaking to the matters must be sworn in. Please be advised that comparisons of assessments of properties are not considered evidence of market value by the Board of Revision. The Board of Revision is appointed annually by Council and is independent of it and the City Administration. It makes its decisions on the basis of the evidence provided at this hearing and issues a written order that will be mailed to all parties as soon as possible. Please note the Board's decisions with respect to an application may be appealed to the Manitoba Municipal Board if the matter pertains to assessed value reclassification, or to the Court of King's Bench if the matter pertains to the application of exemption from taxation. Should you wish to appeal, information on how to do so will be included with the Board's order. With respect to the hearing process, I will confirm the points of appeal with your property be addressed with each applicant following the swearing in. We will then have the assessor's testimony followed by questions that the applicant may have, and then the applicant's testimony followed by questions. Each side will have an opportunity to summarize if they wish. Once all of the evidence about an application has been brought forward, the applicant may leave. The process will repeat for each item on the docket. The session will close after all applications have been heard, and the Board will deliberate in private to make its decisions. You will receive the Board's decision by registered mail as soon as possible. As information, all public hearings are live streamed, recorded, and will be part of the public record. We will be hearing items 1, 2, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9, and 10 on our docket today. Mr. Kumar, please affirm the assessor's and applicant's testimony.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Assessor, please state your full name.
Arif Das Mohammed.
Thank you. Do you affirm that the evidence you are about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Mr. Van Bruggen, please state your full name.
Wesley Van Bruggen.
Thank you. Do you affirm that the evidence you are about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sir.
Hey, good morning. Welcome, Mr. Das Mohammed and Mr. Van Bruggen. Our first item on the docket this morning is 15 McDonald Avenue. So, Mr. Das Mohammed, when you're ready, please.
Sorry, my docket has different properties or a different list of properties. So we're starting with McDonald right now?
Yeah, that's the first item on the docket, yes.
Give me 1 second. Okay, Board of Revision, file number 22-425. Roll number is 13091082000. Address is 15 McDonald Avenue. Roll year is 2023. Reference date is April 1st, 2021. Assessed value is $301,000. Parcel use code is manufacturing light. Number of buildings is 1, number of premises is 2, number of stories is 1. Actual year built and effective year are both 1952. Wall heights are 13 feet. Zoning is M2 manufacturing general. Land area is 8,732 square feet. Plan area is 7,320 square feet. And leasable area is 6,726 feet. Land to plan area is 1.19 to 1. If you turn to my appendix, page 1, which is page 8 after the actual brief. So you'll see the subject map there. It's located in the northwest quadrant of the city, South Point Douglas. Underneath that is the subject parcel boundaries. Page 2 is the overhead view of the subject. Page 3 is the rear overhead view of the subject. And then page 4 is the street views of the subject property. On page 5 is the building section. So it's one building built in 1952 with a wall height of 13 feet and a area of 7,320 square feet. This is an owner-occupied building, so they included their COVID supplemental questionnaire and on page appendix 6. And they're indicating there was a moderate impact from the pandemic, but they don't list what that impact was. So going back to my page 3 of the actual brief, there's my rent comparables. So all comparables are industrial warehouse properties. All leases are current in relation to the reference date. Effective year built ranges from 1957 to 1979. Average wall heights range from 14 feet to 20 feet. Leasable areas range between 2,000 square feet and 4,500 square feet. In order to compare the different leasable areas available within the subject, and net rents range from $5.07 per square foot to $6.75 per square foot. On the following page is our workup. So we're utilizing an overall net rental rate of $4.42 per square feet. We're utilizing a 6.5% market vacancy. We're utilizing 3% for non-recoverable expenses, $3.85 for vacancy shortfall. This results in an NOI of $25,305. We're utilizing a cap rate of 8.4%. You'll note in the appendix with the external industry reports, both Colliers and CBRE are indicating that cap rates have declined from Q4 2020 to Q1 2021. They also indicate that the Winnipeg industrial market remains robust and demand is high, vacancy is low and stable. Total leasable area has seen positive absorption. Rents have increased, cap rates have trended lower, as I mentioned, and there's been virtually no impact from the pandemic in the Winnipeg industrial market. So given the strong state of the Winnipeg industrial market over the last number of years and the strong forecasts for the foreseeable future, I believe that the assessed value of $301,000 to be fair and equitable. And I respectfully ask that the board confirm this value, and I'm open to questions.
Mr. Van Ruben, you have any questions?
Just in terms of the information provided on page 18 of your brief, please.
Sorry, what would that be? Appendix?
Sorry.
Appendix 18 or page 8? Appendix
page 18. Page 18 of the or page, I guess appendix page 11 identified page 18 of your total overall document of the PDF. It should be the Winnipeg industrial market.
Okay.
Yep. You had indicated here that capitalization rates had decreased. Now, generally, when we're looking, would South Point Douglas be considered a major industrial area within the city?
It's not major, but it is industrial. South Point Douglas is an industrial area there.
So when looking at the market report, would this be more likely based on some of the other more larger industrial areas within the city, Inkster, and some of those other areas?
I think they're generalizing for the city as a whole. So all the industrial markets in the city. They don't indicate if it's major or minor. So I'm assuming it's for the entire city as a whole.
I mean, in your opinion, would you say that South Point Douglas, the industrial area in that area, performs the same as some of the other areas that you see in the city?
Sorry, can you repeat the question? I'm having a hard time hearing you.
Sorry, am I? Maybe. No, I don't need to. Okay, I apologize. Maybe looking straight up.
That's better. Yep.
Yeah, so would you say that the industrial area in South Point Douglas performs the same as the other industrial areas within the city?
No, I wouldn't say that. No, it wouldn't perform the same.
Would it be stronger, weaker?
I would assume it'd be weaker, just given the area, and you can see that our cap rate that we've assigned to the property is higher than our 80th percentile on page 6.
Thank you, I think that concludes my questions.
Thank you. Mr. Londo, any questions?
I'm still trying to get back to page 6. You went higher by how much on
So our cap rate in the 80th percentile is 7.45, and we're at 8.40, so almost a whole percentage there.
Okay, thank you. No further questions.
Ms. Anderson, any questions?
No, I have no questions. Thank you.
I just have one. Do you know what this building is used for?
Not off the top of my. No, I do not. Let me just check my notes. Maybe it's in here. No, I don't have that.
Okay, I'm sure Mr. Van Bruggen can tell us about that. So thank you very much. So Mr. Van Bruggen, please proceed with your presentation.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. If the board will turn with me to page 3 on the submission, we'll get started. And just let me know when you're there.
Yeah, we're good, thanks.
Thank you. So as mentioned, the subject property is a 6,726 square foot light industrial manufacturing warehouse located in the community of South Point Douglas. The building was constructed in 1952 and has been assessed using the income approach to value. The property has been assessed at a value of $301,000 and MP is requesting a value of $271,000. The property in question is being used as a mattress warehouse. So they sell mattresses out of the front and have storage within the back, just for reference there. If the board will turn with me to page 5. On page 5, we have our request to value as well as the inputs used. So M&P is requesting a potential income for the property of $28,767, so slightly lower than the assessed income applied to the property. We're accepting this vacancy rate of 6.5%, as well as the expense allowance of 3%, and the shortfall amount. And then the other component change would be the capitalization rate. So M&P is requesting a capitalization rate of 9% for the property. Using these inputs, M&P is arriving at a valuation request of $271,000 for this property. Page 6 is the information provided from the City of Winnipeg assessment website, just showing the valuation for that particular property. Page 8 is a map provided by, again, the assessment website showing the location of that property. And then we have a satellite map provided from Google Maps on the bottom there. Again, just showing the location. So near the Disraeli Freeway down. If you move down page 9, we have a couple of exterior views of that property. And that continues on until page 10. So if the board will move with me to page 11, we'll get started with the first issue, which is the rental rate issue. So the subject property has been assessed with a rental rate of $4.42. However, when we take a look at the property, 2,950 square feet of the warehouse space in the back of the building has been used for cold storage. In reviewing the leasing information, it's M&P's position. Again, in reviewing the leasing information, most cold storage is not leased. However, M&P has been able to find 3 indicators that we're using to determine what an appropriate rental rate would be for cold storage. So here we have 109 Higgins Ave, and then 2 leases from 289 King Street. Sorry, I apologize. These are asking rents. So these are based on market reports or market leasing. We see 109 Higgins, slightly larger at 20,968 or 86 square feet, gross rent of $5 per square foot. This is from March 2020, and then the 2 from King Street were advertised October 2018 for $3.75 a square foot. Again, these are gross leases. When we take a look at these, we calculate an average of $4.17, a median of $3.75. As mentioned, the warehouse space has 2 ceiling mounted blower units, which are old and never used. No air conditioning, no water. As such, the only occupancy costs that need to be considered are the hydro and the property taxes, which would equate to roughly $2 a square foot. using the median gross rent of $3.75, adjusting by the operating cost of $2, mainly because these are gross leases. We are arriving at a net storage rental rate of $1.75 for the cold storage space. The board moves to page 12. For the remaining portion of the building, 3,776 square feet, we've looked at leasing for similar sized properties, determining leasing ranges from $5.75 to $6.75 a square foot, with an average of $6.30 and a median of $6.25. Again, you'll note that these leases are probably from superior areas. We couldn't find any leasing from the specific area that we were looking at, from South Point Douglas. So taking a look at these leases, we are looking at a rate of that $6.25. So for the blended rental rate, using the cold rentals rate of $1.75 for 2,950 square feet, and an industrial rental rate of $6.25 for the remaining 3,776 square feet, MVP has arrived at a blended rate of $4.28 per square foot. So that's what we've used within our analysis. When we take a look at that blended rate, is what's been used when calculating what an appropriate rent would be for the property. The board moves to page 13. We have the second matter, which is the capitalization rate. As mentioned, the property has been assessed with a capitalization rate of $8.4%. However, when we take a look at similar properties, it's our opinion that capitalization rate should be higher. When we take a look at these properties, again, we've identified 6 properties that we feel would be reasonable. These are based on location of the properties, as well as type of properties and year of construction, size of properties as well. Identifying these properties, so we've identified these properties, identifying the sale date as well as the sale price. Now, unfortunately, as much as we would love to have the income information for each one of these properties, that information just wasn't available. So to try to calculate what a reasonable capitalization rate would be, we use the rental rate of $6.25 for these properties. These properties, to our knowledge, don't have any cold storage space. We feel that $6.25 would be an appropriate rental rate based on similar leasing we're seeing within the market. Using a vacancy rate of 6.5%, expense allowances of 3%, and the assessed and operating costs of $3.85, we arrive at our net operating income for each one of these properties. You can see the net operating income for these properties range from $8,322 up to a high of $70,951, depending on the property, the size of the property. Using this, we've calculated capitalization range ranging from $9.58% all the way to 14.70%, an average of 11.92% and a median of 11.87%. Again, MVP is taking a look at this. We're not suggesting that the capitalization rate be increased to 12% as per the table. We do feel a slight increase to the capitalization rate of 9% would be reasonable for this property. The board turns to page 14. On page 14, we have the conclusion here. So taking a look at the property, it's our position the property has been overassessed. When we take a look at it, we feel that the blended rental rate of the property should be dropped to $4.28 based on the rental rate for the cold storage space as well as for the front space, and a requested capitalization rate of 9%, which we feel would be reasonable considering sales of similar properties in the market. Based on these parameters, we're arriving at about market requested value of $271,000 per property. If the board will turn with me to page 19, and I'll just give a moment to get there. On page 19, we have comparables. These are the properties being used for the lease comparables for cold storage. You can see 109 Higgins Ave as well as 289 King Street. If the board moves with me to page 20, on page 20 we have the comparables used to generate the rental rate for the front space of the property. We have 193 Eagle Drive. If you move down, you see 170 to 172 Wyatt Road. Moving down, we have 1087 Q8 Street, and then finally we have 65 Nourish Road. Again, each one of these properties would be a position are probably superior to the subject property. However, we feel, in taking a look at that's where we generated that rental rate. In terms of, if the board will turn with me to page 22. So page 22, we have the industrial information for lease. So this is where we got our rates. So you can see 109 Higgins Ave. You can see that the rental rate there is being generated is $5 per square foot, including utilities. Board moves me to page 23. You can see we have the King Street property there. You can see utilities are included within that rent of $3.75. Moving with me to page 24, 25, 26, and 27 is the remaining information for the rest of the spaces that we've used to calculate that $6.25 rental rate. The board moves with me in terms of the sales, page 28. We have 842 to 840 Main Street. This is the first property. So again, this property is more of industrial nature, located on Main Street. So similar to the subject property, we have kind of retail nature. We have retail in the front, industrial in the back. Then we have the next property, 631 Selkirk. Again, similar to the subject property where you kind of have a retail component in the front and storage component in the back. Page 29, we have 901 to 903 Day Street, 216 to 218 Princess. And then finally on the next page, page 30, we have 224 to 226 Main and 708 to 712 Ellis. So again, when we're taking a look at these properties, we try to identify properties that have similar characteristics with some retail components as well as some storage components within the property, located as best as we can in close issue proximity to the subject property. Starting at page 32, we have the sales that we've used. So page 32, page 33, page 34, and page 37, or 35 and 37, which is sales. These sales have been taken from the Johnson report. So just for the board's record,
I seem to have gotten lost here. You said page 32. I'm going up to
page 32, page 33.
Why is that? Hold on. I've only got up to page 22 here. Am I the only one with that?
Yeah,
I have it.
I have it, yeah.
You go all the way up to 32?
Yeah.
You should have 62 pages total on this submission.
Good, but I've only got 22 pages by the looks of it. 22, 21, and then I end.
So just a second, Marcel, I'm just gonna look, so do you end on the page that says, industrial for lease, March 2020?
No. My page 22 says testing and evaluation models. Am I on the right one here?
$15 McDonald?
I'm going to go back to the top and find out. It's got all the other information up to this point. Yep, 15 McDonald. Page 4.
The applicants.
Yeah, this is on the applicant's evidence.
You're on the applicant one, yeah?
Yeah. 8. Now,
Testing.
I just go to 22. Maybe it's just me.
So your very first page shows MNP on the front, Marcel?
My very first page of this one
Yeah.
shows the buildings on the front. Yeah, it says MNP 2022. Yeah.
And the total in the bottom right hand corner. When you look at the bottom right hand corner, does it indicate? It should indicate MNP, and then there should be a page 1 of. Does it indicate what's 1 of?
It says 1 of 62.
Okay, so 1 of 62.
Okay, maybe could you possibly email the?
Yeah.
Okay, Marcel, we'll get an email to you.
Yeah, let me see if I can reload it and see what happens here.
Yeah. So close it and open it again, please.
That's what I'm going to do right now. Sorry about that.
Okay.
When you're rattling through the numbers, it's hard to keep up sometimes.
Oh, I apologize.
And all of a sudden I went, hold it, it's not there. Okay, let me go to the bottom now. That's not working.
I think we're telling it to Marcel.
Just give me 1 second. I think I've got it figured out here, I think. I hope. It's re-downloading it now. Give me one minute, please. Okay, what page did you say we're looking for?
I was just going through page, if you turn to page 32.
Page 32. Okay, page 32, I will be there in a second. I have got it all now.
Perfect.
Great.
Excellent.
Okay, please proceed, Mr. Member.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. I don't know what happened, but
Did you want me to for anything that I covered previous to this, or are you comfortable with where we are?
I'm comfortable. I everything else is good. Go to 32. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So starting on page 32, 33, 35, and 37 is just the supporting documentation of where we've taken our sales. These have come from the Johnson report. We provided each one of those extracts there for the board's reference. And then starting on page 39, continuing on to the end of the submission, page 61, we provided the City of Winnipeg's evaluation of producing properties for the 2023 general assessment. So we won't dive into these. That information is there if there are any questions. We can certainly answer any questions along those lines. But with that concludes my presentation, and I welcome any questions from the board or from the assessor. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Dos Mohammed. Do you have any questions, Mr. Van?
Yes, I do. Thank you. I guess we're not too far apart on the values, but I do have some issues with the methodology utilized. So on your page 11, first of all, does this building have central heating?
Only the front part of the building. The back part is with cool. The back part of the building has just blower heaters.
So floor heaters?
Blower heaters. So they have blower heater ceiling mounted blower heaters.
So there is heating in the back then. They just don't use it.
They said it hasn't worked. They said it's old and it's never used. Unfortunately, I haven't followed up in terms of what that means. But they've indicated no air conditioning, no water as well.
Okay, and on your page 11, you have some gross rents here. So your methodology is to take gross rents, subtract whatever, like you don't know what the costs would be, would you, on these operating costs?
No, so we don't have the exact cost. So what we've done is we've subtracted $2 to account for the $2 to account for property taxes and hydro.
And how did you arrive at that $2?
It's a good question. I believe that the $2. So part of that was based on what the property taxes for the property would be on or what a similar property would be on a per square foot basis. And then for the hydro, unfortunately, I'm not sure how we got to that component for the hydro. I think it was probably that we took it from the business assessment. Was likely the case, but I'm not sure.
Okay, and you also said these were asking rents, so these aren't rents in place. These aren't actual pieces. Sorry.
That's absolutely correct. Yeah. So our position is no one would be paying more than the market. No one would be paying more in the market than what the asking rent would be. So it's possible that the rents that they're achieving are slightly lower than what the asking rents are. However, because it's unlikely someone would be overpaying more than what's being asked.
But they're not actual leases in place. Okay.
No, that's correct. Again, we're taking a look at what the information we have to determine what a reasonable rent would be for the cold storage. So because we would be of the opinion that no one would be paying more for asking, that's why we use what we've done.
Okay, and in your in the ads that you provided, do any of them say that there's no heating, or there's heating, or what's included, or if there's air conditioning or not?
So in terms of if on page 44, if you move to page 22. So on page 22, we have 109 Higgins Ave. You can see that it's gross and includes utilities. So again, when we take a look at that, that's the $5 per square foot if your position would include the utilities on that. And then if we look on page 23, this would be for the King Street property. Again, if you look at the notes, you can see that it includes utilities with that rent of $3.75.
But the utilities don't say if there's air conditioning or not. No, okay. Okay, and then on your page 12, those are actual rents in place,
Page 12. Just give me a moment.
comparable lease rates.
No, same as what we had used before. So these are asking rents that we gathered from information that you can find on page 24, continuing until page 27.
Okay, and then your cap rate calculation. So the formula for cap rates is actual NOI over sale price to work out the cap rate. But here you've just applied one rental rate for all these places. Is that proper way to calculate cap rates?
So in this case, unfortunately, as much as we would love to have the capitalization rates or the financial information for each one of these properties, unfortunately, we can't. That information tends to be held pretty closely by owners and purchasers. So what we've done is we've taken a look at what the building area is. We know the sale date, we know the sale price. Using that, we then calculate what we expect to be a reasonable rental rate to be applied to those properties, much the same as what we see the city of Winnipeg does in terms of their capitalization rate calculations. Then use that, apply typical vacancy, expense allowance, operating costs to arrive at a typical net, or what we feel would be a typical net operating income for those properties, and use that to determine what the capitalization rate will be for those sales.
Okay, and have you ever seen a 11.97 or 11.8 cap rate in the market? An actual?
Depends on the asset.
Have you seen one?
Have you
seen one? Yeah, have you actually seen one with actual NOI and actual sale price?
Again, it depends on the property that we're looking at. So I have not actually seen 11.9. However, again, when we take a look at using the methodology, we do see that, again, applying what we feel would be a typical rent for these buildings, typical vacancy rate, which we do calculate it through. So it's worth noting we're not actually asking for a 12% capitalization rate for the property, but rather asking for a 9% capitalization rate. And we do see from the city of Winnipeg's information that capitalization rates do range. If you give me one moment here. I apologize, just give me 1 second. If the board will turn with me to page 55. Thank you very much. So here again, what we see, so understanding the property is viewed as an industrial property. However, the property is being used for retail purposes with a storage component. When we take a look at the information provided by the city of Winnipeg for commercial properties, we can see that the capitalization rate is calculated by dividing the model generated net operating income by the sale price, as well as when we take a look at the result, we see those capitalization rates has been indicated ranging from 3.5 to 10.15% for those properties, and then the 20th and 80th percentiles there. So again, in taking a look at that, the methodology being used by the city of Winnipeg, as well as the range of capitalization rates from 3.5 to 10.15, we feel that a 9% capitalization rate would be reasonable for the property.
Sorry, I should have clarified. For industrial buildings, have you? I'll just move on. Okay, those are all my questions. Thank you.
I have no questions.
Mr. Lorando, do you have any questions?
No questions.
And I have no questions, so any requirement for summation, gentlemen?
I'm good, thank you very much.
I think I'm okay. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. We'll move on then to 4 Chester Street. And Mr. Dos Mohammed, please proceed when you're ready.
Okay, board revision file number 22-546, roll number 140-938-86500. Address is 4 Chester Street, roll year is 2023, reference date is April 1st, 2021. Assessed value is $2,057,000. Parcel use is industrial light manufacturing. Number of buildings is 2, number of premises is 1, number of stories is 1. Actual year built and effective year built ranges from 1972 to 2000. Wall height is 18 feet. Zoning is M2 manufacturing general. Land area is 100,560 square feet. Plan area is 27,650 square feet. Leasable area is 28,890 square feet. Land to plan area is 3.64 to 1. Now, just before I go any further, I'd just like to clear up a mistake that I have on my page 5. I know you don't put much weight or on previous hearings, but I just wanted to correct the history on here. So in 2020 to 2022, the assessment for it was $1,558,000. The outcome, I have the number wrong there. Should also read $1,558,000, and it was not appealed. So the assessment and the outcome is the same, and the assessment is the correct number. The outcome, I mistyped that, and the reason was it has not been appealed. So if you turn to my page, Appendix 1, which is right after page 7 of my main brief. There's the map of the subject. It's located in the northeast quadrant. Below that are the subject parcel boundaries. So it's an irregular shaped lot. On page 2 is the aerial view. And then on page 3, I have a close-up of the building. Same with on page 4. And then on page 5 are the street views of the building. Page 6 is the building section. So there are 2 sections. One was built in 1972 for an area of 14,660 square feet. Building 2 was built in 2000 with an area of 12,990 square feet and an 18-foot wall height. On page 7 is the income and expense workup, the income and expense submission. So there is at the bottom there, you can see there's 1 tenant, and it looks like it's a gross rent that they're paying, so there's no recoveries. Then on page 8 is the COVID questionnaire. And you can see they also indicate there was a moderate impact, but it looks like they just deferred the lease for 2 months. So I'm not sure if they received the revenues back or not. On page 10 is the sales mailer that was submitted in 2016. So the building sold in 2016 for $2 million. You can see from question number 1, so the consideration was the price that was paid. Number 3 indicates that it was an arm's length sale in the open market. Number 4 indicates there was no other real estate included with the sale. There's no leaseback agreement per question 6, and question 7 was full interest in the building. Question 15 says that the condition of the building was very good. And then on page, if you turn to page 12, appendix 12, there's the title. And then page 13, continuing on the title, down at the bottom, you'll see there was transfer of land for $2 million there for section 9. And then if you turn to page 15, the land transfer instrument there, you'll note that they indicate fair market value of $2 million there per section 6. So this building transacted for $2 million back in 2016, and that's what they considered fair market value at the time. So going back to my page 3 of my regular brief there, I have my rent comparables. These are actual rents in place. All comparables are industrial warehouse properties. All leases are current in relation to the reference date. Effective year built ranges from 1952 to 1971. Wall heights range from 10 feet to 19 feet. Leasable areas range from 24,000 square feet to 34,000 square feet. Net rents range from $6 per square foot to $6.50 per square foot. Now, I couldn't find rents that were lower for manufacturing light in the industrial warehouse for that size of a property. So you'll note that on our workup on page 4, we're utilizing a rent that is lower than the comparables. So we're utilizing a overall net rental rate of $5.25 per square foot. We're utilizing a 4% market vacancy rate. We're utilizing 3% for non-recoverable expenses and $3.85 for vacancy shortfall. So this results in an NOI of $136,789. We're utilizing a cap rate of 6.65%. This results in a rounded capitalized value and assessed value of $2,057,000. Again, in my appendix, you'll note that both Colliers and CBRE are indicating that the Winnipeg industrial market remains robust. Cap rates are falling. Rental rates are slightly increasing, and vacancy remains low. So, given the strong state of the Winnipeg industrial market over the last number of years, and the strong forecast for the foreseeable future, including the recent sale in 2015, I believe the assessed value of $2,057,000 to be fair and equitable, and I respectfully ask that the board confirm this value. And I'm open to questions. Thank you.
Any questions?
Thank you, Madam Chair. If we can turn to page 14 of the PDF, I believe that would be page 7 in the appendix, please.
Yes.
So this is the 2020 income and expense submission for this property, correct?
Correct. Yeah.
And then, so when I take a look, I can see that AeroCorp, it's indicated, was leasing the property from 2014 onwards. Is that correct?
Yes.
And the property is currently owned by AeroCorp Building Limited. Is that correct?
Yes.
Would it be safe to assume that those two
related parties? Yes.
They're related parties. Okay. So we can see that they were in the property. So does this indicate that they were leasing the property prior to the sale?
Give me 1 sec. Yes, I believe so.
So if they were leasing the property, in your experience, when a tenant's leasing the property prior to buying the property, do they tend to pay a market value that's maybe a little bit above what would be typical for the market to avoid some of the costs associated with moving or some of those things?
Well, they would pay fair market value. So I'm sure those costs moving costs would be included in what they figure would be. I'm sure they would weigh the costs, but they do indicate that's fair market value.
But when they're in the building, would they not be more inclined to pay maybe on the higher end of what you would expect for a property?
Maybe a little bit, but they're not going to pay exorbitant prices if they can just move somewhere else.
Fair enough. I think that concludes my questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lawrence. Are there any questions?
No questions.
Ms. Anderson, any questions?
Yes, was this an open market sale?
Yes, for their, my appendix, page 10, is their sales, so the new owners submitted this sales questionnaire to the city. Question 3 indicates, was this sale an arm's length open market transaction? And they indicate yes.
Okay, and do you have were there any building permits following that sale?
They were, I would have had it in my building sections, give me 1 second. Don't have any permits listed here, and I'll just check my notes. My notes, I do not have anything indicating there were permits, so off the top of my head, I do not know if there was permits after this.
Okay, and it's an owner occupied building now, AeroCorp
Yes.
occupies it. Okay, those are all my questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I have no further questions, so Mrs. Benjamin, please proceed with the presentation.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. The board can turn with me to page 3. We'll get started. And if you can just let me know when you're there. Thank you. So as mentioned, the subject property is a 28,890 square foot industrial light manufacturing facility. The property has been assessed at a value of $2,057,000. M&P is requesting a value of $1,823,000. If the board can turn with me to page 5. On page 5, we have our evaluation here. When it comes to the parameters, the only area that we differ from the city is in regards to the capitalization rate. So the city has used a capitalization rate of 6.65% for the property. M&P is requesting a capitalization rate of 7.5% for the property. Based on this, based on a change of the capitalization rate to 7.5, M&P is requesting a value of $1,823,000. Page 6 and 7 are the income parameters used by the city of Winnipeg to determine the value of the property. So if you take a look on page 7, you can see that net operating income of $136,789 matches what M&P has used. That only difference would be that capitalization rate being utilized. The board turns with me to page 9. As indicated, previously we have an assessment map for that property, just showing the location of the property, as well as a satellite map, and some exterior pictures on page 10, overhead map on page 10, as well as some additional pictures on page 11. The board will turn with me to page 12. We'll get started. So the subject property has been assessed at a value of $71.20 per square foot. So that's calculated by dividing the 2 million, the valuation of $2,057,000 by the area of the property, which is a 32.02% increase from the previous assessment cycle. M&P has analyzed sales of similar properties in the area and determined that they are selling for values ranging from $44.36 to $68.28 or 20 cents per square foot. We provided a table there for each one of the sales. Here you can see the properties that we've used. So we've used 6 properties located throughout the city. So as close proximity as possible. We've taken a look at the clear wall height. So the clear wall height for these properties ranges from 10 feet to 20 feet. The year of construction of these properties ranges from 1929 to 1981. And the area of the properties range from 20,000 square feet up to 39,000 square feet. So similar in terms of size. We take a look at the sale date. These sales have all recently transacted between 2019 and 2020. And the sale prices for these properties range from $995,000 up to a high of $2.5 million. When we take a look at the sale price per square foot, we see that these properties are selling for values ranging from, as mentioned, $44.36 up to $68.20, an average of $60.25, and a median of $64.10. Our property has been assessed at a value of $71.20. So when we take a look at this, it really does suggest that that property has been overassessed. We move to page 13. On page 13, we have our capitalization rate study, similar to what we've seen previously. So what we've done is we've taken these sales that we feel are comparable, using using a capitalization or a rental rate that's been applied at $5.25, a vacancy rate of 4% applied across the properties, a 3% allowance, and a $3.85 operating cost. We arrive at our calculated net operating incomes. These calculated net operating incomes range from a low of $69,081 up to a high of $184,895. Using these calculated net operating incomes, we calculate the capitalization rates. We provided those capitalization rates there, and they range from a low 6.94% to a high of 10.67%. From these, we calculated an average of 8.02% and a median of 7.39%. Again, when we take a look at the property has been assessed with a capitalization rate of 6.65%. Based on this information, it's MP's position that a capitalization rate of 7.5% would be reasonable to apply to the property. If the board turns with me to page 14, we provided a map to show where those properties are, where the sales that we've utilized are located. So you can see the subject property located in the orange pin, so Portchester Street. Then in close proximity, we have 33 Stapleton Street, as well as 198 Archibald and 350 Archibald, with some additional properties located within South North Point Douglas and West Alexander. Page 15, we have our conclusion. So again, taking a look at the property, it's our position that a capitalization rate of 7.5% should be applied to the property, resulting in an estimated market value of $1,823,000 for that property. If the board will turn with me to page 20. On page 20, we provide the pictures of the sales comparables that we've utilized. So the first one we have 516, 530 Dufferin Ave. Then we have 100 McPhillips Street. Page 21, we have 198 Archibald Street. Then we have 350 Archibald Street. Page 22, we have 110, 112 Sutherland Ave. And then finally, 33 Stapleton Street. Starting on page 23, continuing to page 28, we have the information from the Johnson report showing where we received those sales. And then starting on page 30, continuing till page 52, we have the information from the city of Winnipeg. This is the valuation of income-producing properties for the 2023 general assessment. With that, I conclude my presentation. I welcome any questions from the board or from the assessor. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Dos Mohammed. Any questions?
Yes, please. Again, just I have to question your cap rate methodology here. So you've utilized these sales from the Johnson report, is that correct?
That's correct.
And were any of them owner occupied at the time?
I'm not aware.
So, you these are not actual NOIs that you're using again.
Yes, you're correct. I should have mentioned we do. These are These are NOIs calculated based on what we would feel a reasonable rental rate would be for those. So we've used $5.25. Same thing with the vacancy rate, expense allowance. Unfortunately, as much as we would love to have the income information for each one of these properties, that just wasn't available to us. So we use the information.
And in your opinion, a 14,000 square foot building and a 39,000 square foot building would have the same rent per square foot?
A 14,000 square foot building and a 39,000. No, I'm sure there'd probably be some sort of differences. I'd expect the 14,000 square foot building would probably have a higher rental rate, compared to what we'd be looking at. However, when we do look at the property, it is located in fairly close proximity to the subject property, so it was included. We feel, if anything, the $5.25 rental rate for 14,000 square feet would be pretty conservative.
And the expense rates and the vacancy rate, how did you get those rates?
So the expense rates and vacancy
and the operating costs, sorry.
You bet. So those were taken from what was typical from the market. So if the board will turn with me, just give me one more.
it seems like you're using the city's expense rates, and the,
Yeah, that's correct. So we've used the vacancy rates applied by the city as well as the expense rates and the non-recoverable provided by the city, as we feel that those were reasonable.
and are you aware that in 2018 and the 2019 cycle that those were not the operating costs and the expense allowances that we utilized?
So these would be, so the 2018-2019 cycle would have been based on information from the previous time frame, which would have been 2018. So again, we're taking our understanding is the information from 2023 would have been provided as of the market study April 1st, 2021, between the last assessment cycle and this assessment cycle. So when we take a look at stuff that sold within 2019 and 2020, that would fall within that time frame. So again, based on the information that was used by the city and the time frame used by the city to calculate those vacancy rates, non-recoverables, we feel that'd be reasonable to apply. That would have been in the market at the time of those sales.
I noticed in your previous brief and this brief that there's some properties prior to 2020, like 33 Stapleton sold in 2019, and you still continue to use rates which are now higher than what they were at in those roll years. Any reason for that?
So the last cycle,
like we did not use $3.85 or $3 expense in 2018, 2019.
right, but the 2018-2019 information would have been based on a previous valuation date of 2016. In this case, so the information collected would have been prior to 2016. The last assessment cycle, the information would have been calculated as of April 1st, 2018. This assessment cycle, the information would have been collected between April 1st, 2018 and April 1st, 2021. So that would have fallen squarely when these transactions had taken place. And that information collected would have been the information at the time in the market. So again, when we take a look at that, we felt that those vacancy rates and non-recoverables were reasonable given the market.
Okay, just for the record, back in 2016, the rates were even lower. So those are all my questions. Thank you.
Ms. Anderson, you have a question?
Just in regards to the sales comparisons that you utilized, those properties, you said the range of when they were built was 1929 to
1981.
1981. Okay, and with regards to those properties, do you feel that they would also be in very good condition?
Again, it's hard to say. We didn't, unfortunately, as much as I'd love to be able to say I've gone through every property in the city, we have to rely mainly on what we can see or what we can observe. Based on our observations, for the most part, they look in pretty reasonable condition. That's why we do provide the pictures that you can. That's why we do provide the pictures starting on page 20 to page 22 of our brief. So, you know, the property at 1989 Archibald Street. Clearly, there was something going on there when we were able to gather that picture. So that property may be a little less comparable. But for the majority of the other properties, I think they were in reasonable condition. What defines very good or, you know, reasonable, I'm not sure, but they seemed okay.
Okay, so the valuation that you're proposing today, that you're requesting to the board, it's lower than the 2016 sale of $2 million.
Yeah, and so when we take a look at that sale, we do see that AeroCorp had been occupying the building and that they had purchased it. So certainly, people purchase properties for a variety of reasons. One of the considerations, you know, is always kind of what's the cost of renting versus what's the cost of owning, as well as what's the cost of moving and relocating our operations and cost of disruption to business. So we find typically when a tenant buys a building, the building that they're occupying, they do tend to pay a little bit more than what you would see in other circumstances.
Okay.
Sorry?
Sorry, I meant to let you finish. Sorry.
No problem. So that's why, again, we're taking a look at other sales that have occurred within the market just to see how that lines up. Does it make sense on a per square foot basis when we're taking a look at properties that are kind of similar size, similar location, similar, I guess, age, as best as we can get.
Okay, and can you advise me what type of a business AeroCorp is? What type of a business is operating in that location?
Oh boy, unfortunately, I don't have the specifics in terms of. I believe it's manufacturing, but unfortunately, I don't have anything more in terms of what they, exactly what they're manufacturing.
Okay, thank you. Those are all my questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Gordo. Do you have any questions?
No questions.
I just have one. So do you have any information about, I know that the sale document indicated the building was in very good condition. Do you have any information about the quality of the building or the condition of the building that would require a higher cap rate than the city has? I know you provided some sales, but I'm talking about specifically about the building.
You're talking in terms of like what would go into determining a higher capitalization rate?
Well, is there anything about the building
that would result in that? Again, I think when we take a look at these, we're more so looking at the market to see what's transacting within the market, similar areas. I think one of the challenges when it comes to capitalization rates, particularly when it comes to third-party market reports, is the fact that we don't know what sales are used. You know, the third-party market report, when they calculate it, we don't know how they determine it, exactly what their methodology is. So that's why we try to look at what's actually transacting in the market and be deemed similar. So for this property specifically, is there anything that would result or push that capitalization rate up? Unfortunately, I would be. I'm unaware of anything. It's just more so we're looking at the market when we're doing that.
Thank you. Gentlemen, either one of you have any requirement for summation on this property?
Yeah, I'll just state that when we look at our cap rates, they are the market. We have sales on all the properties that are conducted in the market. So our cap rates are the market, and they're entered into our model. And therefore, I believe that our cap rate of 6.65% to be fair and equitable also. And therefore, I ask that the board confirm this assessed value of $2,057,000. Thank you.
On the point of capitalization rates, we have provided the sales, let the board know which sales we're looking at, provided the details of each one of those transactions, as well as showing our capitalization calculation to show what we feel would be a reasonable capitalization rate for the property. So we have gone through each of those steps, showing what we feel would be most comparable and what the end result would be for the capitalization rate. So again, when we take a look at these properties, we feel that it's indicated, you know, when we take a look at the sales indicate the property has been overassessed. And then when we take a look at the capitalization rates using methodology very similar to the city of Winnipeg, we get a capitalization rate that is supporting capitalization rate of 7.5%. As such, MEPs respectfully requesting the board to reduce that value to MEPs requested $1,823,000. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Van Rubin. So the next item on the docket this morning is for Power Street.
Just give me one over here.
Sure. Yeah.
Madam Chair, should we take 5 minutes?
I'll just do it.
We could do you need 5 minutes?
I wouldn't mind it.
Okay, all right, we'll take it now. So we'll reconvene at about 10:12. Call the meeting back to order. And the next item on the agenda is for Powers Street. So Mr. Das Mohammed, please proceed when you're ready.
Okay, board revision file number 22-392, roll number 14001966000. Address is 4 Power Street, roll year is 2023, reference date is April 1st, 2021. Assessed value is $246,000. Parcel use is industrial manufacturing. Number of buildings is 2. Number of premises is 1. There's 1 to 2 story. Sorry, there's 2 stories there. Actual year built is 1948. Effective year built ranges from 1948 to 1965. Wall height is 15 feet. Zoning is manufacturing general, M2. Land area is 22,552 square feet. Plan area is 5,738 square feet. Leasable area is 5,738 square feet. Land to plan area is 3.84 to 1. On page 1 of my appendix, which is right after page 7 of my main brief, is the map of the subject area. Underneath that is the subject parcel boundaries. On page 2 is the overhead view of the subject. Page 3 is a different overhead view of the subject, same with page 4. And then page 5 is the street views of the subject. On page 6 is the building section. So there's 2 buildings there, one with 2 stories, one with 1 story. The 2-story building has an area of 2,800 square feet. And the second building has a area of approximately 2,900 square feet. They're both 15 feet wall heights. On page 7 is the COVID supplemental questionnaire that was provided to the city. Angie Workington is indicating that there was a minor impact from COVID, but it's not listed what it was. And then on page 9 is the board revision application, and you'll note that Angie Workington is the contact email address there. And I'll just get back to that if it comes up later. So going back to my page 3, my rent comparables. So all comparables are industrial properties, such as the subject. All leases are current in relation to the reference date. Effective year built ranges from 1956 to 1970. Average wall heights range from 13 feet to 15 feet. Leasable areas range at different intervals from 1,500 square feet to 9,300 square feet. Net rents range from $3.87 per square foot to $4.60 per square foot. On page 4 is our workup. So we're utilizing an overall net rental rate of $3.89 per square foot. We're utilizing a market vacancy rate of 6.5%. We're utilizing 3% for non-recoverable expenses and $3.85 for vacancy shortfall. This results in an NOI of $18,808. We're utilizing a cap rate of 7.65%. So this results in a rounded capitalized value and assessed value of $246,000. Again, so given the strong state of the Winnipeg industrial market over the last number of years, including the sale of the subject approximately 10 years prior to the reference date, I believe that the assessed value of $246,000 to be fair and equitable, which is only a 7% increase per year over the 10-year period. And therefore, I respectfully ask that the board confirm this value. Thank you, and I'll be open to questions.
Thank you. Before we get to questions, I just realized we did not affirm the applicant.
Yes.
So Mr. Kumar, if you could do that, please.
Thank you. Mr. Applicant, please stand up. State your full name.
David Spermetta.
Thank you. Do you affirm that the evidence you are about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you. Please sit.
Sorry about that. We got to do that before we started. Okay, Mr. Spermetta, do you have any questions for the assessor?
I guess it indicates industrial light manufacturing, and that building at 4 Power Street we're not utilizing it for any type of manufacturing. It's basically cold storage as well. It is not a 2-story.
Okay, so you'll have a chance to present your information.
Oh, okay.
Right now it's just questions.
Oh, I see.
Yeah,
Okay.
So do you have any questions for the information you presented?
No, not at this.
No questions? Okay. Mr. Lorando, any questions?
No questions.
Ms. Anderson, any questions?
Just in regards to the sale, Mr. Assessor, was it in 2011? Was that an open market sale?
Yes, give me one. From my notes, it was a bona fide sale, so I am assuming it was, yes.
Okay.
But maybe Mr. Skrmedia can shine some light on that.
Okay. Thank you very much. Those are all my questions.
Thank you, and I have no further questions. So, Mr. Skrmedia, you can proceed. And there are two items from the applicant on our docket here. So you can just, when you're referring to them, just let us know which one it is so we can follow along. Thank you.
Sure. Okay. Basically, I'm new at this, so I apologize for my, we received our I could just read the letter. In 2015, the property at 11 Yard was assessed at $335 and 4 Powers. When I did my letter, I did them for both properties, 11 Yard Street and 4 Power Street.
Yeah, that's clarification for the board members and for the assessor. He did his information together because the properties are side by side, so he may be referring to both, but his evidence is covered. We're going to hear each property separately, obviously, but his evidence will be in consideration for both.
Yeah. Basically, for instance, at 11 Yard, the property was assessed in 2015 at $335,000, and this assessment is now $712,000, which is over 112% increase. Okay, so the current assessment for 11 Yard and 4 Power Street for 2023 is over a 24% increase in relation to the 2020, 21, and 22 assessed values. We have experienced insurance companies unwilling to insure the above properties due to its location up against the rail yard. And in our opinion, this definitely degrades the value of the properties. I submitted that letter today, which basically confirms that statement. In the case of 11 Yard Street and 4 Power Street, the second paragraph, last year, our building insurance premium did see a decent size increase, and in my attempt to find an alternate option for you, I did receive a declination for another market due to the location of the buildings. Okay. On the first paragraph, it does state that there is a number of factors that take into consideration when determining whether to offer terms for building insurance, including the location, proximity to surrounding exposures such as a rail yard, and the neighboring environment in general. In addition, if an insurance company does offer terms, it can often be at higher rating than it would be otherwise due to these factors. So in regards to 4 Power Street and 11 Yard, they are in unique locations in the city of Winnipeg. In regards to being up against the rail yard, which does affect how some of the insurance companies do look at insuring those types of properties or buildings. The neighborhood environment, we experience vandalism on the walls, the fences. There's a lot of graffiti. You can see on the photographs that were provided on the from the assessor that there is graffiti on the walls of 4 Powers. If you look on page, I believe it's page 5, you can see that there, things have been blacked out or painted white to get rid of or to, I guess, eliminate the graffiti or cover it up. Unfortunately, in our city, we do have homeless people that sometimes live up against the property. There is low lighting. We're forced to clean the boulevard, then forced to clean the street. We're up against the rail line. And unfortunately, when the street cleaners come out or when they're clearing the street of snow, the rocks and debris from the rail line end up going onto the boulevard. And then we put that onto the street. And of course, then we're responsible. So then we have to spend time and money cleaning the street as well. Due to the area, the environment, we're forced to utilize the C-cans, which are shown, on page 4, and our tarp shed to keep items hidden from the neighborhood. We were forced to install a lockable door on the ladder on 11 Yard as children enter the property. and climb the ladder to gain access to the roof. And then they've got free reign to go across the buildings. We've experienced theft of property and materials, not only ourselves, but at properties in the middle of the day, where we've actually contacted either the police or the property owners. There's individuals that are strung out on drugs or alcohol, disrobing and undressing in the middle of the street, digging up and removing areas of the driveway. Vehicles that have been stolen have been left on the property. Individuals breaking into vehicles and stealing items and then leaving items from previous break-ins in the vehicles. There's garbage strewn on the property and on the boulevards. Also the back lane. Vehicles hitting and damaging the fence. We have called 311 multiple times with very slow or no response at all. Tire damage due to individuals dropping sharp objects, glass, metal, etc., flats that we have to fix up our vehicle's tires. And then, of course, we're having to assist the police by allowing access to our video camera recordings in order to assist in the arrest and prosecution of individuals for personal and or property crimes. So there is numerous reasons why we feel that the property assessment is excessive, and we don't feel that the assessed value is acceptable. I guess, is this where I bring up about the light industrial versus storage? Yeah.
Tell us whatever you like.
Yeah, so also at 4 Power Street, it does indicate that it's industrial light manufacturing. That particular property is utilized strictly for storage and cold storage. So, and it is not a 2-story building. I'm not sure where the 2-story comes into play. If you look at the picture on page 5, you can see that the roof line is a single story. There is a higher section a little bit further in, but that's not a second story. That's just a higher section that I believe when they built that building back in '48, I believe that they used it for manufacturing of truck boxes, and they needed a higher ceiling in that area in order to manufacture that. But at this point, we are not doing any manufacturing in that property. Yeah, at this point, that's all I have.
Just before we proceed to the assessor's questions, do you have an amount that you're looking at for either of these properties, or for 4 Power? We're talking about 4 Power right now.
No, I haven't. To be honest, I didn't. I know the previous assessment was 184, then it went up to 198. We did not appeal that at that time, and now it's up to 246. You know, my personal opinion, it because of COVID, and yes, I know that the Angie did indicate that it was a minor disruption. Again, it's owner occupied. The company or the business that we're in, it's in the fire protection, life safety business. So there was the tenant did experience additional, I guess, expenses due to COVID. And then of course now inflation has crept up and interest rates. So we are, you know, we're trying to, we can't really expect to the property to keep on increasing when things have kind of been at a standstill for the last 3 years.
Okay, Mr. Mohammed, do you have any questions?
Yes, I do. First of all, I'd just like to clear up something. I do have rebuttal, but I don't think it's necessary to submit it. I documented, you had called 311 in regards to finding out who the assessor was, on, November 21st at, 3:55 PM. And I got that inquiry, the next day on the 22nd at 9 o'clock. And I tried to reach out to you and to Angie, I believe, and nobody got back to me. I left messages, so I'm not sure. I did try to reach out to you and see if we can work out something there. How long have you been at this place? Were you there prior to the sale?
Prior to the sale,
Like you purchased the building in 2011. Were you there previously before that?
no.
No. Okay. And I see you indicate that, yes, you're not using it as for manufacturing, but it is zoned industrial manufacturing, though. Is that correct?
I believe that, well, if that's what it's zoned as, I would have to look into the zoning. I don't know what it's costing.
Yeah, it is. So you appealed in 2018, and I guess nobody came to the appeal then. 2020 was an appeal. 2023 was appealed. I tried to reach out to you, and I am willing to make a recommendation to the board in regards to revising the assessment. My recommendation would be $218,000 from $246,000.
Okay. And could you just explain what you changed in your?
Yeah, I'm just revising NOI. I'm leaving the cap rate as is. I'm leaving the expenses as is and the vacancy. And I would just be changing the leasable rent per square foot. I just don't know what it is. Right, I didn't calculate that. But it would be a change in rental rate. Apparently, it's used for storage. So.
Okay. Okay, Mr. Scaretta, before we go any further, are you accepting of that recommendation, 218?
Like I say, nothing has really changed from the 2020, 21, 22 assessment.
Well, it's your decision.
Yeah.
If you accept it or not, you don't have to.
Mm-hmm. You know, can you?
Well,
I guess that's where I'm
accept the recommendation, we'll proceed with questions, and
Oh,
then
I
we'll
see.
proceed with the rest of the hearing. If you accept it, then we'll move on to the next property.
Maybe, Mr. Scrimedia, you say that it's a huge increase, but would you not agree that maybe you were under-assessed in previous years also? And maybe that's why you weren't appealing?
No, you know what, I'll be honest, I ended up taking over the business and the properties in 16. And at that time, I had a lot of other irons in the fire, so to speak. So I was concentrating on running the business, not necessarily looking at what the property was. And, you know, for the 2020, 2021, 2022 with COVID, no, I did not appeal those. And, you know, was it assessed lower? And I guess that's a possibility, but I do know that when the building and the property was purchased at 11 Yard and 4 Power Street, there is also some other mitigating factors that come into play in respect to, there is environmental concerns that are buried in the soil there. So I don't believe that it is under assessed because of the previous, there was some, I guess, environmental studies done, and there is some issues with having, if somebody wanted to build or things like that on top, or if they have to disturb the land, that they do have to do a bit of remediation in order to go forward. So I don't believe that it is under assessed.
It is an industrial building and it's located near train tracks. Have you considered moving somewhere else? Have you looked at what is out there for this type of building?
No, I haven't. No, not at this point. Like I say, I took over the business in 16, and we've had it before that. I guess it was 2011 is what you said is when we purchased it. So I don't even have that information on me right now.
Okay, well, I think the question before us right now is if you accept the recommendation of $218,000.
Yeah, I'll accept that.
Okay, if you don't have to.
Well, I you know, I and that is that for just this coming year, or is this for the next 3 years? How does that value?
2023 has to be 2 years.
So it'll be 2 years?
Well, the roll years haven't been set yet. So right now we're just doing the 2023. The last roll cycle was a 3-year cycle. Previous roll cycles have been 2-year cycles. I don't know if it will stay at 2 years or 3 years.
Yeah. It was a 3-year cycle because of COVID.
Okay. I would say no. Just because nothing like the last 3 years, because of COVID and because of you know, the rise in interest rates and the inflation.
Okay. Well, that's fine. If you don't accept it, then we're going to continue to proceed with questions. Do you have any other questions, Mr. Das Mohammed?
No, that's I'm good. Thank you.
Mr. Lorno, do you have any questions for Mr. Scrimeno?
These two properties that you have, I guess I'm going to ask questions on both because you spoke to both basically. Are they? They're basically one, are they not? It's operated as one business.
Correct. Yeah.
Have you looked into putting them as one unit?
No, we actually haven't. That is something that we may look at doing because, you know, we do pay. I actually was looking into what we pay for the water and the sewer, and we don't use. We use very little water at 4 Power Street. The odd time when we have to wash a vehicle or something like that. But no, I haven't.
Did I hear the assessor right when he said it's 12 feet wide, that one building?
The wall height.
Oh, the wall height was 12 feet. And then
if I know, sorry, wall height was 15, but I don't think I did mention 12. 15 is the wall height on there.
15 is the wall height.
Yeah, and it looks like there's maybe a mezz or a storage area on one section.
No, that's just a higher ceiling so they can get the trucks in when they were building it previously.
Yeah, there is no mezzanine in that area.
Okay.
Okay, I've got no further questions. Thank you, Matt.
Ms. Anderson, do you have any questions?
With regards to 4 Power Street, what are you proposing to the board as a recommendation for a decrease? What are you proposing, asking for?
Well, I would like it kept the same as 2020, 2021, and 2022. You know,
198,000.
Yes, around the 200,000 mark, which I feel, you know, with recovering from COVID and also the cost of, I know the real estate market may or may not be increasing, but I know the cost of money is costing more, things like that. So I would, you know, and if this ends up going in 2 years, like a 2-year roll cycle, then we could look at how things progress with the business and, you know, possibly even look at making it under one title. I'm not sure. To be honest, I haven't even looked at that.
Okay. Okay. And the disruption to the business over the recent term, can you explain the disruption to the business?
Well, it's just with COVID, we had to put into place a lot of additional, safety measures, basically in order to conduct, being an owner occupied building, that's what we had to do. So there was additional sanitary, that had to get done, cleaning, restricting access to inside the building so that, we didn't have, visitors just coming in and out. It's very similar to what everybody else had to endure the last 3 years with COVID. And it's just been, the last little while where we've actually been able to open up, and not even open up. We still keep our front door closed just because of the neighborhood. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is. And like I say, this property is unique. Yard Street is only two little sections of street, and it is unique. So, but it is what it is. We have to live with it. But which thankfully we have a fence to surround our property. But even with the fence, it does not seem to help with keeping out people that should not be in the property.
And that's really exasperated over the last 2 years. Is
yeah,
that a fair
actually
statement?
has. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it actually has. Like I really feel for the homeless people and things like that, but it does make it quite, difficult when people stop to, come in and conduct business, and there's homeless people, there's garbage strewn around. So I wouldn't say it's a very, it's not a like Class A industrial type of facility or area for that matter. It is what it is, and I know the assessor said, have I looked at moving? Well, the cost of real estate is quite high everywhere. And, even this one, if it continues to go up higher, I'm not sure what our steps are going to take, because our the assessment went up over 24%, which is quite a significant amount.
Okay. Thank you. Those are all my questions. Thank you very much for your presentation.
Thank you.
I don't have any additional questions, and we can maybe do a summation after 11 yard. But Mr. Das Mohammed, I just want to confirm your recommendation was 218,000, correct?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I just want to make sure I got the number right there. All right, so we'll move on to 11 Yard Street. So, Mr. Das Mohammed, please proceed when you're ready.
Yeah. So Board of Revision file number 22-391, roll number 14001962000. Address is 11 Yard Street, roll year is 2023, reference date is April 1st, 2021. Assessed value is $712,000. Parcel use is industrial light manufacturing. Number of buildings is 1. Number of premises is 2. It's a 2-story building in areas. Actually year built and effective year built is 1975. Wall height is 22 feet. Zoning is M2 manufacturing general. Land area is approximately 20,000 square feet. Plan area is 7,270 square feet. Leasable area is 9,695 square feet. Land to plan area is 2.75 to 1. On page 1 of my appendix, which is right after page 7 of the main brief. Again, it's the building next door to the previous building. And then the parcel boundaries are just under the map there. On page 2 is the subject aerial view. Same with page 3, and then the subject street views on page 4. And one more on page 5. Page 6 is the building sections. So 2-story in a section. So there's a mezz area of 2,525 square feet. Wall height is 22 feet. So going back to my comparables on page 3, all comparables are industrial properties such as the subject. All leases are current in relation to the reference date. Effective year built ranges from 1925 to 1963. Wall heights range from 12 feet to 16 feet. Leasable areas range at different intervals from 2,000 square feet to 6,946 square feet. Net rents range from $5.07 per square foot to $8.53 per square foot. On page 4 is our workup. So we're utilizing an overall net rental rate of $5.90 per square foot. 6.5% market vacancy. We're utilizing 3% for non-recoverable expenses and $3.85 for vacancy shortfall. This results in an NOI of $49,458. We're utilizing a cap rate of 6.95%. This results in a rounded, capitalized, and assessed value of $712,000. So just listening to Mr. Skrmedia's testimony there, I am willing to revise this assessment by bringing the cap rate closer to our 80th percentile. So at 7.5%, and I would be willing to recommend a revised assessment of $664,000.
Thank you very much. Mr.
And-
Smeta, again, I ask you if you accept the recommendation the assessor is making to reduce the assessment to $664,000.
No, based on similar to what I indicated for Four Powers.
Okay, so do you have any questions for the assessor?
I guess probably the biggest thing is on page, I apologize, I'm gonna find the page numbers here. You indicate that there was a mezzanine area of 2,000 square feet. Just so that everybody's aware, that 2,251 square feet. Sorry, you probably know what page that is better than.
Yeah, that would be page 6 of my appendix.
Page 6 of the appendix.
So I guess that would be offices in the front
Yeah,
part.
exactly. That 2525. You could say that there's 5,000 square feet of office, right? Like, well, sorry. There's 2,000 out of that 7,270, right? The remaining 5,000 is full 22 feet high. So that is utilized predominantly for cold, like storage of pipe and fittings. And there's a small section that's utilized for light industrial. So I just want to, just so that we're all aware.
Yeah, do you have a question for the assessor?
Did your assessed, does the crane or anything like that come into play with your assessment?
No, this
The
is just
real
real
estate.
estate. Yeah, just the
The
real
real
estate.
estate? Okay, and no, there's no further.
Ms. Anderson, any questions?
I have no questions. They've been answered. Thank you.
Mr. Lauren, do you have any questions for the assessor?
When we're talking the mezzanine, did you say it was 2,000 square feet for the mezzanine?
2,525 square feet, yes.
And what rate were you charging on that?
One is, I guess, approximately $6. So our premise, ID 23,900 would probably take into account the net space. So about $6.05.
Have you got any other rentals that are right in this area on the tracks?
I couldn't find any that were that large in that area. So I had to go outside of the area. I guess Gwendolyn would be the closest. My first comp.
And that was, how much was that one? Five?
That was $8.53.
That's still not as bad. The same location as this. So the upstairs is office. Underneath is that office on the bottom as well?
Not the whole thing. There's probably about 90% of it is office. There's a lunchroom.
You know what, the questions for the assessor.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. I know you know the answer. Questions for the assessor.
Sorry.
Yeah, sorry. Just referring to Mr. Skrmedia. Yeah, I don't know personally.
Okay. Have you visited the property?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
I've driven by it though.
Yeah. I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Okay. And I do not have any questions that have not been answered. So, Mr. Skrmedia, you can proceed with your presentation. Now, I know you said that a lot of the information was the same, but if there's any, and we do recall what you told us previously, but if there's anything else you want to add, please go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, basically when I wrote up my original letter and my notes, it did include for both properties. Again, you can see on page 4 of the appendix that if you look at the pictures on the fence, that there was graffiti that got covered up. I know to prevent it looking like undesirable. You can, on page 3 of the appendix, you can see on the far, I guess right behind the garbage cans, there's an orange gate there. That is the gate that I was referring to that we had to construct to prevent children from getting up on the roof. I understand that's a safety thing, but again, there's very low, how shall I say this? The people in the area, they don't really respect the properties that are there. And I understand that's where we are, but it also should be reflected in the value of the buildings and the properties.
And again, I'll just ask the question before we proceed. Do you have an amount in mind that you were looking for the reduction?
I would consider, between the two properties, if this one came in around 600.
Okay. Mr. Dosmohamed, do you have any questions for
Yeah, you brought up the crane. Is that on my page appendix 3? Is that the crane on the outside in the fence compound there?
Yes. Yeah,
okay.
It is. It has been decommissioned. That's why I was asking. It's no longer being utilized.
Okay, and was the fence there when has the crane ever been utilized?
Not by us, no.
And was the fence there when the crane was in operation?
Yes, well, I believe so. Yeah. When we purchased the property, the fence was there, the gate was there, the crane was there.
Okay, those are. And if somebody was to move, can they can they take that crane with them?
No.
All right. Those are all my questions. Thank you.
you, Mr. Lordo. Any questions for Mr. Scretta?
Was that for,
Yes, that was for you. Yeah, do you have any questions?
the only thing is that crane looks like a catwalk onto the roof.
No, you have to jump up, off the crane, but there's no way to get at that top there. But honestly, now that you mention that, if somebody did go up the ladder onto the roof, they could possibly jump down there, which is, again, and ultimately the property owner or the tenant would be responsible if somebody fell. So that's why we had to put up that bloody gate.
No, I've got no further questions.
Ms. Anderson, any questions?
No, I have no questions. Thank you very much for your presentation.
And I do not have any further questions either. So, Mr. Dost Mohammed, do you have any summary you'd like to make on these two properties?
I'm good, thank you very much.
Mr. Scametta, anything else you wanted to summarize, add?
No, not at this point. Thank you.
Thank you very much for joining us today. And
Thank you.
you'll get our decision shortly. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next item on the docket. Is 515 Monroe.
Yes, Madam Chair, he's on Zoom.
Okay.
Mr. David
Okay.
speaking. Hello, Mr. Buchanan.
Hello,
Please state your full name.
it's David Nishi Beckingham.
Thank you. Do you affirm that the evidence you are about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I so affirm.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning. Welcome. I just want to confirm that I got your name right, so that when I'm calling on you, I'm not. It's Mr. Mishi Beckingham. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so Mr. Dossman, we're going to proceed with 15 Monroe Avenue. I do see that there's a preliminary issue, but let's read this onto the roll, and then we'll ask you about that.
Okay, great, thank you. So yes, file number 22-3763, roll number 0204134600. Address is 515 Monroe Avenue, roll year is 2023, reference date is April 1st, 2021. Assessed value is $4,695,000. And yes, we do have preliminary issue. We're requesting that the board allow us to place the burden of proof onto the applicant under section 53 and under section 54 for non-compliance to a questionnaire that was mailed out back in 2020, the income and expense mailer. If you turn to my page, appendix 7, so that's the income and mailer that was submitted, but just let me know when you're there.
Yeah, I'm just.
Gotta find the appendix first.
Appendix would be after page 7 of my main brief. Well, it's page 8, after page 8 of my main brief.
Got it. I'm there.
Okay, go ahead.
So there's the questionnaire that was submitted to us. They're indicating that it was fully owner occupied and there's nothing filled out in here except for the maintenance and repair. So this is not a properly filled out questionnaire, and there's nothing in the tenant role. And I don't think this is it's incomplete and it's not submitting what we asked for. So therefore, we ask that the burden of proof be placed on the applicant.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Mishi Beckingham, do you have any response to the assessor's request?
Yes, I do have a response. The income and expense return was returned. The essence of what the difference between what the assessor was expecting and what the clients filled out is really the essence of our case here, is that this is a self-storage facility and it is owner operated and managed. So they don't technically lease out facilities. They do, they're a form of an agreement for space. It's not technically a real estate lease. So there is no real estate lease income from this. So they are correct in saying that they are that they are fully owner occupied or owner managed. They manage it and they do put out facilities there. I've got more information about that in my actual brief, but this is a business income that the assessors further in his brief there put some examples of, off the website of you can get a small storage space for so much for a week or so much a month. Again, that's the business income. That's not the real estate income. What the assessor was asking for was what the real estate income, what you would typically have in a income and expense questionnaire, and for a typical warehouse you would have real estate income, but they don't have. You can't separate out the real estate from the business income here, and that's why they filled it out and returned it as such. The assessor had questions with regards to that. They certainly could have got a hold of the owners and had a much greater discussion about the business value for the site.
Sorry, I just forgot to mention that along with the income and expense mailer provided on page 9, they also indicated some expenses, but it was for the wrong address. The provided income and expense charges for 198 Archibald Street.
They have about 5 facilities here in.
Oh yes. So for 15 or 515 Monroe Avenue, that's what was provided. We asked for 1515 Monroe, and we did ask for the information, and it wasn't provided to us. We just can't phone up every industrial property owner in the city and start asking income and expense questions. That's why we provide these mailers.
Yes, and that's why they filled out. There is no real estate income that goes to.
Is there expenses? There was expenses.
Yes, and they have the repairs and maintenance expenses there, 108,000.
And you also indicated management expenses and advertising expenses and property taxes and telephone utilities, which were not provided.
Well, it's obviously they mixed up when they sent them back because they have 4 or 5 facilities there, and this one was for their one at Archibald. I'm sure if you probably looked at the Archibald one, that would have had the Monroe one in it.
Okay, I think we've got the gist of what you both have indicated here. So the board's going to recess for a few minutes to deliberate on this, and then we'll re-adjourn to give you our decisions. Thank you. I'm going to call the meeting back to order. We have considered the city's request for non-cooperation, and the board has decided to grant the request. So, Mr. Mishi Beckingham, that means that you will present first. So please proceed with your presentation when you're ready.
Great. So this is a self-storage facility at 515 Monroe Avenue. If you turn to my submission, just page 1 gives an overview aerial of the site. And you can see that these are specially designed units. It's not a typical warehouse. They have small front doors, small height, typical 10, 12 foot height. And they have small frontage doors, and they're spaced around so it's easily accessed through cars, and you can and pickup trucks, and you can drop your stuff off for storage there. It's not a typical warehouse design and layout here. So when we're looking at trying to determine a value for these types of properties, using the income approach for self-storage is actually mixing business value with real estate value, because these properties are actively managed, rented out on various weekly, daily basis, and is not typical as a normal warehouse situation. So the key to establish an income approach to value is determining the net operating income for the property, and that income must relate to the real estate and not the business. An example of this is an owner-occupied corner store, where we're not concerned about the profitability amount of sales of the store. We would look at the market to see what other corner stores are leasing for, regardless of the profitability. So in this case, the self-storage facilities are all owner-occupied, and there is not a typical lease of a self-storage facility. The rents the assessor collects to determine net operating income is actually a mix of business and real estate value. Similar to hotels, rents that are received for the small storage spaces are a mix of real estate, location and building, and business, hours of operation, security provided, and ease of facility there. So the rents are a mix of real estate and business income. We look at their actual lease agreements, which I've included a copy of in the back here, but these aren't typical lease agreements that you would get for a warehouse type space. These they limit to what the person can store in the space. There's from the clause 18 on page 2, on page 3 gives the management the right to access the space at any time, and also gives them the right to move their space if they want to create a bigger space, 10 by 12 space, and they want to rent a 20 by 12 space and they need to move you out. They can force you to move out and move to the next location so that they can rent the bigger space there. So there's not a contractual requirement of just cause as there would be in residential tenancies or commercial tenancies, which for quiet enjoyment is a standard clause. These users are not tenants. The users lack a degree of control provided for in a typical lease. One cannot say a user is a licensee because a user does not occupy the unit. Occupancy extends to control. The agreements that are clear that users do not control the unit in a way that could be considered a lease. So self-storage properties are largely owned and occupied by the same party. The property is actively managed on a day-to-day basis. This is different than a typical warehouse where there are very few cases of land or building leases of entire self-storage facilities. Now, that's how you would separate out the business value from the real estate value. While self-storage properties generate rental income from customers, it would be inappropriate to value the real estate based on the rental income, as such a method would necessarily capture a degree of business value. As this is not a business valuation, this approach cannot be taken. Just going on to page 4 here. Again, similar problem in the development of a capitalization rate. When you're capitalizing an income that is a mix of business and real estate income, and you're also capitalizing part of a business value in that reflect. So I looked into the literature, and I included the article here and there, separating real property from tangible and intangible personality and appraisals. And basically, the essence of what they're saying in those documents and in the literature is if you wanted to separate out business value from real estate value, the best way to do it is to use the cost approach, which is a straight on the value using the principle of substitution, that no one would pay more than what it would cost to replicate what's currently there, and that would not take into account the business value that's associated with it. I've done a complete cost approach, which I've included in the appendix there, and if you look at page 5, that's the summary of the cost approach, with a Marshall Swift valuation, including the yard works and your land value, coming into a total value of $3,190,000. Just through the rest of the report, I included copies of the agreements, so you get an idea of what the full agreement is, and then I included my full costing, and then the article on how to separate out business from real estate value. And that's my submission.
Thank you. Mr. Josterman, do you have any questions?
Yes, I do. Sorry, is it Mr. and Mishi Beckingham?
Yes.
Okay. Are you aware that industrial properties in Winnipeg, whether they're owner occupied or tenant occupied, are assessed utilizing the income approach?
Well, if you're using the income approach, you have to use the real estate value for that. So if you use any income from derived from the individual self-storage units, then you're mixing business and real estate value. And you can't mix business and real estate value. You're getting a combination value. So the best approach, according to the literature, to separate out business value from business and real estate value is the cost approach.
So even if the owner is utilizing their own building, so it's owner occupied, we utilize the income approach, and we put the way we do this is we look at comparable leases.
Right,
so
but
we're not going to look at an owner's income
So you would look at comparable leases, and that's perfect. So if I had a giant warehouse and I was owner occupying in it, you would look at other leases of giant warehouses to do a comparison. So in order to do a proper income approach here, you would need to look at an entire leased self-storage facility. Are there leased self-storage facilities in Winnipeg? No, there isn't any. So how do you look for comparable leases? If you're going to use the lease information of the individual 10 by 10 or 5 by 10 storage unit, that's a mix of business and real estate value, and you need to separate out the business value. So in the absence of any comparable leases of entire self-storage facilities, comparable properties, the cost approach is the next best approach.
And the applicant is in the business of renting space, is it not? Without that real estate, they wouldn't be in business. Is that correct?
They are in the business of self-storage facilities. Yes, it is a mix of business and real estate, no question.
But without that real estate, they wouldn't be able to rent space.
Well, there is some examples where they have leased entire facilities and then rent out the space. There's a few of those in Ontario, but there isn't any in Winnipeg, for example.
Okay, those are all my questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Lorndo, any questions?
David, have you represented others in the city before on this? The other properties like this?
For the other self-storage facilities,
yeah.
Access, yeah. For Access self-storage, yes, I believe for a few of them I have.
Okay, so the business model that they operate under, do they not come with a number that they use, that they use for their rental for the period of a year or 6 months?
I mean, if you look at on the assessor's documentation, he has it there. They can rent these things out on a weekly basis, right?
Mm-hmm.
There, so there isn't a standard rental rate per se for these type of things.
But if you took the total amount and then divided it by the number of units or by the square footage, you'd come up with a dollar figure, would you not?
You would come up with a dollar figure, which would be a mix of business and real estate value.
Yeah, and what would that number be? What would the revenue be from this property? Seeing as we didn't get it because it went to, he gave the wrong sheet. What are the numbers?
They won't give out their business because that's, from their perspective, that is their business, and that's not a real estate value. So that's proprietary to their business. and their business acumen, which is
Other businesses give us the information the city requests.
I know this owner will not give what they consider their business value, which is their business information.
Then it could get interesting. I've got no further questions. Thank you, David.
Ms. Sanders, do you have any questions?
The questions I had have been asked and answered. Thank you.
I just had one on your page 14. You showed some sales here towards your cost approach. Are any of these self-storage units?
No, that was for the land value. How to come up with the land
This
value?
is all land. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Okay. That was all the questions I had then. Okay, so Mr. Dustin Hammond, please proceed with your presentation.
Okay, so I'll just start with the property description there. So parcel use is industrial light manufacturing. Number of buildings is 7. Number of premises is 2. Number of stories is 1. Actually, year built ranges from 1956 to 2011, and I believe the 1956 portion is just the main office building there. Wall heights range from 8 feet to 12 feet. Zoning is manufacturing light. Land area is 220,359 square feet. Plan area is 44,130 square feet. Gross area and leasable area are also 44,130 square feet. Plan to plan area is 4.99 to 1. Now, if you turn to my appendix page 1, which is right after page 8 of the main brief. So the subject is located in the northeast quadrant, Monroe West. The subject parcel boundaries are just below that. On page 2 is the overhead view of the subject property. So you can see it's quite large. It takes up almost half a block to a full block of the of a city block. I mean, and then the bottom of page 2 is a close up of just the buildings. And top of page 3 is the close up of the land that they're renting out to, I guess, store RVs and whatnot. At the bottom there is the office building. And then there's some street views of the storage units on page 4 and on page 5. Page 6 is the building section summary. So there is 7 buildings there. You can see the first building is 930 square feet, and I believe that's the office building, and then the rest are the storage units. On page 10 of my appendix is the information I gathered from their website. So you can see that they're renting storage units at different rates. On page 11 is a breakdown of the rates that I worked out. So the 5x5 unit, if it was rented for a whole year, would bring in $29.13 per square foot. And then all the other ones are there. On top of that table is the outdoor parking space, what they rent at. So you'll note that to park a RV, for example, is $24 per week there. And then on page 12 is the status of title for subject property. Page 13, you'll note section 9 there. Transfer of land was initiated there with the instrument number 4676727. And the consideration there was $4,300,000, and that was in 2015. So on the following page is that transferred land instrument. Section 6 there, you'll note that they're indicating in 2015 the market value of the subject property was $4.3 million. And just to bring that into perspective, on page 16 is an overhead view of what that property looked like in May 2014. So it basically hasn't changed. So it was worth $4.3 million in 2015, and that's what it looked like in 2014. So going back to my comparables on page 3. Now, this is unique. We don't have storage properties leasable areas for individual storage units. So this is the best I could do. Is just to bring in industrial warehouse comparables. So my comparables are all industrial warehouse properties. They're located in the same industrial market, Monroe West. All leases are current in relation to the reference date. Effective year built ranges from 1964 to 1997. Wall heights range from 12 feet to 24 feet. Leasable areas range at different intervals, approximately 30,000 square feet to 43,000 square feet. Again, this doesn't exactly match what we have for the subject there, as they're little cubicle areas that they're renting out. So net rents range from $6.09 per square feet to $8.25 per square feet. On page 4 are my land comparables. So I have 4 comparables. So the sales dates range from January 2018 to January 2019, and selling prices range from $7.48 per square feet to $9.13 per square feet. Average price per comparable. Average price for the comparables is $8.43 per square feet. I apologize. I didn't put in the amount of the excess land there. Well, sorry, it's in my in the table. Yeah, it's 79,000 square feet is excess or surplus that we're indicating. So it's surplus because they are using it, so we can't separate it from the main parcel. So if we could have been separated, it would have been called excess. So on page 5 is our workup. So we're utilizing an overall net rental rate of $6.24 per square feet. We're utilizing we're utilizing 3% for non-recoverable expenses and $3.85 per square feet for vacancy shortfall. This results in an NOI of $254,094. We're utilizing a cap rate of 6.05%. This results in a rounded capitalized value and assessed value of $4,695,000. So I'll also just indicate for the last cycle 20 to 23, the applicant did sign a 15-1 mutual agreement where assessment was revised to $4,538,000. So I do not believe that this is a huge increase, especially considering the fair market value that was entered into the title in 2015. So given the strong state of the industrial market in Winnipeg over the last number of years and the sale in 2015, I believe that the assessed value of $4,695,000 to be fair and equitable, and I respectfully ask that the board confirm this value. And I am open to questions.
Mr. Beckingham, do you have any questions for the assessor?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
Do you have any questions for the assessor?
Yeah, just a few going through here. If I can get you to turn to, it's your brief, I guess you call it appendix, page 11, electronic copy, page 19.
Yes.
So you have, you noted here that there was outdoor parking, which is what they do for RV storage at $24 a week, correct?
24 is what they're stating on there.
Right. So would you include that income when you're looking at your income approach for the property?
I have not, because we are separating the land as surplus, so we would not include that. It would be indirectly included in the surplus land value.
Right. So if it derived the income that they're getting from their RV rental, if that was high, if that had a capitalized value higher than their land value, that would be, you would consider that to be a business value then?
No, we would. We're just indicating its surplus value. We don't know what we wouldn't. If it's land, it's land. So we do not. We don't include business business income in our approach to value. So we're
Right.
just using the income.
So you don't include that $24 a week.
No, we're just including
storage facilities.
no, just the surplus land.
You mentioned the sale at 4.3. So that was for everything, and that includes what you would consider surplus land. But at that time, it had an income for the RV storage, right?
I'm not sure. I don't know what it was included.
According to your photograph, looked like there was some RVs stored there. On this page, I go to page electronic copy, page 24.
Yeah, but on my electronic, on my appendix, page 14, you'll note that they're indicating it's just the land value that was at $4.3 million in section 6 there.
For the typical land transfer tax, right? Yeah. So 4.3. So, but I'm just going to your page 16. And they had RVs that they were renting out space for on there.
I assume, yeah, looking at the picture, yes.
And you don't know then from that sales audit whether any of that income was considered part of their value when they bought it for 4.3 million. Do you?
I'm not sure what the business value would be. I'm just assuming that the land transfer is what they paid for the real estate there.
Right. So you don't know if that was a consideration.
I do not know. No.
Okay.
We haven't had a submitted sales mailer from your client there.
And then you included here on your document here on electronic page 20, appendix page 12. That's the mortgage note.
Yes,
for $400
I assume that's for a number of properties, but
$150 million
yeah, I assume that's for a number of properties.
for a number of properties, and you're not sure if that included any business.
Yeah, I'm not even
Well,
relying on that.
values?
It's the, I'm not even relying on that. I put this title in here to indicate that the consideration for that property, 515 Monroe, was 4.3 million. And then I included the line transfer.
Okay, thank you. No further questions.
You, Ms. Anderson, any questions?
I have no questions, thank you.
Mr. Lauren, no any questions?
Not yet.
And I have no questions, so any requirement for summation from either of you?
I'm good, thank you.
Yeah, just a quick summation that this is a self-storage facility. The income that's associated with it is inextricably linked to a business value and a real estate value. The sale price, I would put forward that included a business value, and examples of that would be your storage for your RVs. They don't take that income into account because that creates a much higher value than just your land value. These are special storage facilities that are special purpose, and there is a combination of business and real estate value. And the only way to separate out business and real estate value is to do that on the cost approach. Thank you.
Thank you very much for joining us this morning, and you'll have our decision shortly. Thank you.
Thank you.
See you, Dave.
Okay, any
Thank you.
more a brief break from any of the panel members?
Sounds good to me.
Okay, let's take 5 and we'll come back with 25 Dunlop Avenue. Thank you. Are you good?
I'm getting there, yeah.
Okay, I'm going to ask Mr. Kumar to affirm Mr. Smith.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Smith, please state your full name. Thank you. Do you affirm that the evidence you are about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? I do. Thank you.
Welcome, Mr. Smith. Thank you for joining us this morning. Okay, so the next item is 25 Dunlop Avenue. And Mr. Dos Mohammed, please proceed when you're ready.
Okay, thank you. Board revision file number 22-3658, roll number 14064162000. Address is 25 Dunlop Avenue. Roll year is 2023. Reference date is April 1st, 2021. Assessed value is $4,730,000. The number of buildings is 2. Number of premises is 1. Number of stories is 1. Actual year built and effective year built ranges from 1975 to 1970. Actual year ranges from 1973 to 1975. Effective year range is effective year built ranges from 1975 to 1976. Wall heights range from 12 feet to 20 feet. Zoning is M2 manufacturing general. Land area is approximately 99,900 square feet. Plan area is approximately 36,700 square feet. Leasable area is 36,800 square feet. So on page 1 of my appendix, which is right after page 7 of the main brief, there is the map of the subject. It's located in the northwest quadrant, Inkster Industrial. Bottom of that is the subject parcel boundaries. And then on page 2 is the overhead view of the subject. Same with appendix page 3. On appendix page 4 is the street view of the subject property. And then on page 5, appendix 5 is the building section. So 2 buildings, one built in 73, one built in 75. Majority of the building is or the subject property is 20 feet in the wall height. And then on page 6 is the income and expense workup the income and expense statement that the owner mailed to the city. So you'll note that the NOI there that they're reporting is $230,341. That's if you add back the mortgage payment, interest payment there. On page 7 is the tenant roll. So I'll just point out that there is a slight discrepancy in the rentable or the leasable square foot area. We are assessing 36,800 square feet, whereas the applicant has it at 38,980 square feet, a difference of 2,180 square feet. So the tenant has been occupying this space since 2014, and they're paying an annual rate of $8.50 per square foot. On page 8 is the COVID questionnaire. They're indicating that there was a minor impact, but they do not list what that impact was. Then on page 10 is the sales mailer. So you'll note that in 2014, the subject sold for $3.1 million. Question 1, consideration was the price that they paid. Number 2, you'll see that it was an arm's length sale in the open market. There was a value of opinion given or an appraisal per question 5, and that came in at $3.375 million. The new owners purchased full interest per question 7. Question 15, the building was in good condition. And then on the following page is the opinion of value. And you can see there that Stevenson Advisors brought the property in at $3.375 million. And on the following page, the effective date of the appraisal was January 14, 2014. And the purpose was to determine market value. So going back to my page 3 of the main brief, there's my rent comparables. So all comparables are industrial warehouse properties. All leases are current in relation to the reference date. Effective year built ranges from 1969 to 2009. Average wall heights range from 14 feet to 23 feet. Leasable areas range from approximately 30,000 feet to 47,000 square feet. And net rents range from $8.50 to $11.45 per square foot. On the following page is our workup. So we're utilizing an overall net rental rate of $9 and a market vacancy rate of 4%. I believe looking at the applicant evidence, we're pretty similar on the gross potential rent there. So we're utilizing a 3% for non-recoverable expenses, $3.85 for vacancy shortfall. This results in an NOI of $302,746. We're utilizing a cap rate of 6.4%. This results in a rounded capitalized value and assessed value of $4,730,000. So again, in my appendix, I have all the external industry reports in both Colliers and CBRE are indicating that the Winnipeg industrial market is robust, and demand from Q1 2021 is similar to what it was in Q4 2020. Vacancy has been low and stable. Total leasable area has seen a positive absorption. Rents have increased. Cap rates have tended lower from Q4 2020 to Q4 2021. And there's been virtually no impact from the pandemic in the Winnipeg industrial market. So given the strong state of the industrial market in Winnipeg over the last number of years, including the 2014 sale and the appraisal that came in, I believe that the assessed value of $4,730,000 to be fair and equitable, and I respectfully ask that the board confirm this value. And I'm open to questions. Thank you.
Any questions?
Yes, I do. Thank you, Madam Chair. Looking at page number 4 of the city brief, the valuation workup here, are there any overrides that have been used in the development of this assessed value?
No.
The rental rate of $9 per square foot seems particularly rounded when I observe it. So it looks like potentially there were.
That's model rate.
Okay, model rate. Okay. Looking at, then let's move forward to capitalization rate discussion on page number 6. So the valuation for the subject property was model driven, as you had said. So when I read page 6 with regard to capitalization rate, and just bear with me here for a moment, this will carry forward for all 3 properties. The second paragraph refers to, for the 2023 general assessment, April 1, 2021 reference date, capitalization rates were derived from model-generated estimates of net operating income and sale prices that were time-adjusted to April 1, 2021. So this is referring to the City of Winnipeg's valuation model and the information that was used in it. So the capitalization rates that were developed and used in the city's model were not based on
Actually, that's incorrect. Let me just
If I could finish my question, Mr. Dustin-Hammond. Is it accurate to state that the City of Winnipeg didn't use the actual income and expense of the property that transacted at the time of sale to determine the capitalization rate?
That's incorrect for the industrial properties department.
Okay, that's how the information reads.
For the industrial department, we use actual income and actual sales. And I know that because I work in the industrial section. And we have worked out cap rates.
Okay. The city of Winnipeg is aware that the tenancy at the property was renewed at a rate of $8.50 for a further 5 years, I believe.
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
The city of Winnipeg, I'm assuming, is aware that the tenant in place renewed their lease at a rate of $8.50 a square foot for a further 5 years.
Well, that's what the tenant roll indicates, so yes.
No, the tenant roll indicates up to 2021, the city, or June 2021.
So I'm sorry, could you just repeat your previous question, please?
Yes, so the city, I'm assuming, is aware that the tenant in place has renewed their lease at a rate of $8.50 for a further 5 years.
Starting when?
At the termination of the lease.
No, I'm not. And if that's post-reference, that shouldn't be entered into evidence, and I don't think you have evidence to that. And if you do, it's post-reference, so.
But it is information that the city has and is aware of?
No, I didn't look at the post-reference material, if there was any.
So moving on then to page number 11, and you've referred to an opinion of value. This is actually a narrative appraisal report completed by an accredited appraiser. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so in looking at this at the top of the page, and I'm quite familiar with these, obviously. We have both the client and the lender indicated at the top of the property. And at the bottom of the, or rather at the top of the letter of transmittal on page 11. If we look at the bottom of that particular page, it indicates the actual appraisal consultant, Mr. Sean Henderson, that completed it, as well as the review appraiser, Mr. Brett Ferguson. Were either of those individuals contacted with regard to the use of this particular appraisal report?
Nope.
Okay. We look at the letter further. If you look at the very last sentence, it states, "This letter is invalid as an opinion of value if detached from the report, which contains the text, exhibits, and addendum materials." So have you provided the remainder of the report?
No, this is what it was provided to the city by the purchaser. So that's what we have included, and it's because they provided it to the city, we are fair to use that in our briefs.
In fact, and I'm not needing to get into an argumentative state here, but in fact, you're not able to use that in your evidence. It's not a public document, and if you looked at the actual appraisal that would have been provided to you, if you look at the conditions of it, it will state that the appraisal is provided to a specific client for a specific purpose, and that all other use of the document is invalid and excluded, and no rights are granted to any other user. So
that may be so, but
providing this particular information now, it's from 2014, so it really doesn't matter. But it's not something that should be tossed into appraisal reports.
Okay, so yeah, we are getting into debate a bit here. So let's, any further questions?
Those are all of my questions with regard to the presentation,
Okay.
yes.
Thank you. Ms. Anderson, any questions of the assessor? Oh, sorry, I think you might be on mute. No.
Sorry, my apologies. I have no questions. Thank you.
Mr. Lordo, any questions?
I've got no questions.
And I do not either. So, Mr. Smith, please proceed with your presentation.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So, looking at subject property 25 Dunlop, it is a industrial light manufacturing property located in the Inkster Park. Inkster Park Industrial Park. Property was assessed for 2023 at a total of $4,730,000. Our market value for the subject property today, based on our valuation, which we'll provide, is $4,293,000. Now, you'll note on page number 3, the 2020 assessment was reduced from $4,455,000 to $4,137,000. This is under appeal at the municipal board. And the prior assessment, it was reduced to $3,108,000. Now, further information about the property, built in 73 and 75. Now, the vast majority of the building, 34,000 square feet, was constructed in 73 with the small addition of the office area at the front of the property in 1975. So that gives you your 2 wall heights, the industrial portion being 20 foot exterior wall height and the front office being 12 foot. That being 2,700 plus square feet. So our total leasable area as per the lease in place is 38,980 square feet. We have further description with regard to the structure itself on pages 4 and 5. I will take us forward to the photos, beginning on page 6, so you can see the exterior parking lot, some of the front office area, and then beginning on page 10, the rear of the building where the manufacturing and warehousing takes place. So fairly straightforward building. The site plan is shown on page number 12. And as you can see, loading for the property is located at the rear with some parking at the front of the building. The actual location is shown on page number 13. So let's skip forward to the valuation. At the beginning, I'll state, while we differ in rental rate, the annual amount is more or less the same. We come down to an annual gross revenue of $331,330 based on the actual lease, which is very similar to the city's projection at the rate that they have for a smaller area. The property is actually slightly larger than indicated by the city, and we've gone with the actual in our valuation. So if we look at page 16, you can see the details of the lease. I've already mentioned the extension of the lease for the subject. We look at whether that is an appropriate rent for the subject based on market. Well, let's look at page 16 and the rental comparables. Now, I've given you a total of 11 comps here. They vary somewhat, obviously, in terms of location, age of construction, obviously. I will point to 3 in particular, I guess, that are indicative of the rent in place being a fair market rent. If you look at number 4, 89 Bunting, we have a 2020 lease over a 10-year term at $7.95 a square foot. Very similar leasable area at 35,870 square feet. Slightly older at 1964, but we have a higher wall height at 22. So essentially the same utility in the same area. Moving down, comparable number 8, 130 Midlands, 2018 year lease for 5 years at a rate of $8.50 a square foot. Now, this is a much more modern building, having been built in 1998, 20-foot exterior wall height, better structure, with a rate of $8.50 a square foot. The final one I'll point to is number 10, 75 Meridian. This is a 2019 year lease over a 3-year term for a significant amount of space, nearly 23,000 square feet in a much more modern building, having been built within the last 5 years, significantly higher wall height. I don't have either of those specific dates, but you'll see from the photo that is the case. And the rental rate there being $8.50 a square foot. So we can flip forward to page 17 and you'll see some photos of some of these comps for you. 130 Midland is located at the corner of Notre Dame and what is the offshoot there? It's probably in my, anyway, it's a high profile location at, is it Notre Dame and Keewatin, I believe, just south of Keewatin. In any case, photo is there for you. It's modern flex warehouse being built in 1998. One of the earlier properties of that nature, certainly superior to the subject. Property at the bottom of that page, 850 Empress, high profile on Route 90. And then finally 75 Meridian, very recently built flex warehouse space, rented at $8.50 a square foot, as I had noted. So certainly the $8.50 rent is appropriate for the subject. When you look at the comparables, let's move on to the expenses. We don't differ with regard to vacancy. Our information with regard to that is on page 20. Each of the panel members, I believe, has heard our discussion with regard to expense allowance, so I will save us some time. We're simply asking for the overall 7% expense allowance as previously utilized. All the text is there for you to review if you wish. And our shortfall amount does match what the city is providing as well. We can move on to capitalization rate. Now, if we look at my page number 22, we refer to two of the main commercial brokerage participants, that being Colliers and CB Richard Ellis. Now, Colliers had no breakdown between Class A and Class B. They had simply 6% at the low end to 6.75% for investment grade industrial assets. CB Richard Ellis had a quarter point difference in their 2021 Q1 2021 cap rate projection for Class A, which ran from 5.75 up to, I believe it was 6.75, and Class B running from 6.5% to 7.25%. So your overall range was generally 6% to 7.25%. Now, again, these are investment grade assets. The subject property is a standalone property with a single tenancy. If it were in that categorization, it would be in the Class B categorization. So it would fall towards the upper end of the range. We've also provided our capitalization rate study as shown on page 22. We have 5 properties here for you to review. And you'll note that these were all investment trades based on the in-place income and expense as of the time of sale. And our cap rates range from a low of 6.6% to a high of 7.8%. First property, 700 Mission, being a single tenant property in a heavier industrial area, transacting at 7.8%. We then have 2 other single tenant transactions better located, one in St. Boniface Industrial Park, that being 333 Debates, with a cap rate of 7.4%. And finally, number 4, 78 Hutchings in Inkster Industrial with a cap rate of 7.2%. Now, I will point out that there was actually a significant impact with COVID in the marketplace with regard to the industrial real estate market, and that was a dramatic drop off in transactions over the COVID timeframe. So you'll note that we don't have any investment grade sales during that timeframe. That's because essentially they dropped off the cliff. Investors were scared of moving forward at that time, obviously for obvious reasons. And And so there were exceptionally few transactions in the marketplace to review. So our cap rate range again ranges from a low of 6.6 up to a high of 7.8%. The photos of these properties begin on page 23. You can see each of them and their particular location. 700 Mission on page 23, that between single tenant. 333 Debates on page number 25 in the St. Boniface Industrial Park, south of Dugald's. Excellent property. And finally, 70H Hutchings on a long-term lease on my page number 26 in the Inkster Industrial Parks, where the subject property is located. Now, if we look at all of this information in relation to the subject property, we have a little bit older property with a ceiling height of 20 feet. It has a relatively low land to plan area ratio at 2.72 to 1. So that essentially means the loading is somewhat cramped in that you have to come down the side of the building in order to reach the loading at the back. There's no expansion space. There's somewhat limited parking on site. Balancing that, they have a relatively good tenant on a lease that extends into the future. So we believe that a cap rate of 6.75% is appropriate for the subject property. Now, if we use that, you can see our summary of the valuation on page number 28. Using 6.75% gives us a final market value of $4,293,000. And the addenda materials, I believe, simply include the rent roll for the subject property. And I am open for questions. Thank you.
Mr. Mohammed, do you have any questions for Mr. Smith?
Yes, I do. You keep referring to a close reference date, so do you have evidence for that then?
I'm looking at it in front of me. I didn't provide it in the brief as it was post-reference material. I was simply asking if the city was aware of it, which you would be, as it's been submitted in the income and expense for 2021.
In regards to your comps there, are they single tenant or multi-tenant?
The rental comparables?
Yes.
Let's skip forward here. So 25 Paquin is a single.
Well, let's just say the three that you indicated, 4, 8, or 10.
Okay,
So
well,
but
the initial question was, are any of them single tenants? So yes, 25 Paquin, first one is a single tenant.
Well, the question is the 4 that you're referring your rents to, the 3, index 4, 8, and 10 is what you indicated. Are they single tenant?
So 130 Midland and 75 Meridian are multi-tenant modern flex warehouse buildings that drive significant rental rates. And 89 Bunting, I'm afraid I do not recall at this point in time if that particular one was a standalone single tenancy or whether it was multi-tenant.
And in regards to your cap rates evidence, how did you work out cap rate evidence for, say, Mission?
Each of the properties was reviewed with regard to the sale price and the income and expense, etc., as of the time of sale at the date of transaction.
So you would have done that for every one of them?
Each of them was reviewed, yes.
Okay, so I do have rebuttal evidence for Mission. That's all I had time to review. I could send that to the board.
We'll do that after we're finished questions. Okay, I'll come back to the rebuttal. Thank you.
All right, those are all my questions for now.
Mr. Lauren, do you want to?
Oh, sorry, one more. Sorry. Mr. Smith indicated that there was a significant impact from the pandemic. So, Mr. Smith, are you disagreeing with Colliers at CBRE when they say there was no significant impact from the pandemic?
What I indicated, Mr. Dustman, was that the impact that I stated was with regard to the volume of transactions in the marketplace.
So would you agree that then there was a high demand during the pandemic for industrial buildings?
Well, that's not information that I've particularly stated. Was there demand for industrial space in the pandemic? Certainly, there was demand with regard to particular types of industrial space, such as high cube warehouse space, which the subject is not. With regard to tenancies that were particularly active in the COVID timeframe with regard to shipping, etc. So your Amazons and things of that nature. Yes, there was strong demand for that. But I can't say that that covered the entire market.
Okay, those are all my questions. Thank you.
Ms. Anderson, any questions?
I have no questions, thank you.
Mr. Gorndo, any questions?
No questions, thank you.
And I do not either. So now, Mr. Dustman will go to your rebuttal. Probably have to
is there, yeah, I just looked at Mission there for cap rate evidence, and is there, can I send it to somebody?
Yeah, you can send it to the WR's ID.
Okay.
Madam Chair, does this not have to be submitted prior to the actual hearing?
Normally, yes. So if you're
actually, I have.
So go ahead, Mr. Dustman.
Yeah, I've had agents give me rebuttal right at the hearing, so I haven't. I'm not aware that it's supposed to be handed in before.
It was not one of those agents.
Okay. I think we'll have to take a quick recess then, so the board can deliberate on whether we're going to accept the rebuttal evidence or not. Thank you. Thank you. I'm going to call the meeting back to order. The board has deliberated and we've decided that we will accept the rebuttal evidence. So if I'm not sure if Mr. Kumar has it yet.
No, Madam Chair.
Okay. So have you sent it, Mr. Das Mohammed?
Great.
He doesn't appear to be there.
Mr. Assessor, can you hear us?
Sorry, I was muted. No, I didn't send it. I will just send it now. I apologize. It's in Word format. It's not in PDF.
I will convert it to the PDF if you want.
Okay, thank you.
I guess I'll need a copy of it.
Yeah, I'll print it for you.
Thank you.
Is this going to take a few minutes, Madam Chair?
Yeah, let's take 5. We'll recess for 5. Okay, I'm going to call the meeting back to order. And Mr. Das Mohammed, if you could please walk us through your rebuttal evidence. Thank you.
Okay, so the cap rates, the reason I was able to look at this one is I just had this on appeal, so I'm pretty familiar with the property. So 600 Mission, the owner submitted a sales verification mailer. In that, they indicate that they utilize a 6.1% cap when they purchased the building there. And our internal calculations came out to 5.9 cap. So on page 1 is the sales mailer that was provided to us. On page 2, question number 32, You'll note that the owner utilized a 6.1, the current owner utilized a 6.1% cap rate on that. And then the other pages are just, there was an appraisal, a value of opinion done on the property. And then the last few pages, sorry, these pages aren't numbered. I'm having a hard time. Give me 1 second. So page number 9, you'll note that the board agreed with us at the mission there for this cycle. So they took our cap rate, and then 78 Hutchings, there was a cap rate of 7.0% that the applicant relied on. So I guess I did look at the Hutchings one. So those are the two that I'm rebutting. Cap rates 600 Mission and 78 Hutchings. So I'm saying that the cap rate for 600 Mission should be 6.1 and 78 Hutchings should be 7.0.
Thank you, Mr. Smith.
So I'm not sure how Mr. Smith, what his methodology is for calculating cap rates, but that's what the owners were reporting.
Thank you, Mr. Smith.
I don't have questions, more statements, I guess, with regard to it. I can ask them as questions if you wish, but it becomes an issue when we do it that way, but okay. So in the information that you provided with regard to the sale for 700 Mission, so it says 600 Mission here at the top.
Yeah, I'm sorry, that's a typo. It should be 700 Mission.
Okay, so it is 700 Mission then.
Yeah, the sales questionnaire says 700 Mission.
Okay, so in this sales questionnaire, there's no income and expense information provided, correct?
No, there isn't. No.
Okay, so we simply
But,
have.
if you look at question 32, the purchase price was based on the net operating income, and the cap rate utilized was 6.1.
So what we have is the owner's statement that it was a 6.1% capitalization rate, but no evidence with regard to income and expense, correct?
No, the owner is stating that's what they utilized.
He's
They
stated
utilize the net operating. Well, the owner is the one who laid out the money, so I'm assuming they did their calculations.
Okay, so it's not present. And so what else was provided here?
78 Hutchings on page.
So you're referring to post-reference information here on, I don't know what page this is, the City of Winnipeg Board Order. And then we're looking at a different property at the back, 78 Hutchings, is that accurate?
Yes.
Okay, so again, we're simply looking at the figure that the purchaser put down without any backing of income and expense information, correct?
Well, the owner utilized the property's net operating income. Yes. What was the cap rate they utilized? 7%.
Yes, what I'm stating is that the information behind that is not present, correct?
I don't have the owner's workup, no.
Okay, but you would have the income and expense for the subject property as of the time of sale.
Yes, I probably would. Well, I'm not sure if it was submitted or not.
Okay.
For Hutchings, but well, if you're gonna if you're gonna ask the question, I would like to respond to it. So for 78 Hutchings, I'm not sure if there was a submitted income and expense mailer, but for 700 Mission there was, and our calculated cap rate was 5.9%.
Okay, those are all of my questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lord. Do you have any questions on the rebuttal evidence?
No questions.
Ms. Anderson?
I have no questions, thank you.
And I do not either. Any requirement for information from either of you gentlemen?
No, that's fine, Madam Chair.
Mr. Doss-Mohammed, you're good?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you.
So we're gonna move on to 2008 Logan Avenue. And Mr. Doss-Mohammed, please proceed when you're ready.
Board revision file number 22-2959, roll number 0756900, or sorry, 9010000. Address is 2008 Logan Avenue. Roll year is 2023, reference date is April 1st, 2021. Assessed value is $1,357,000. Parcel use is industrial light manufacturing. Number of buildings is 1. Number of premises is 1. Number of stories is 1. It was built in 2002. Wall height is 21. Zoning is manufacturing light and 1. Land area is approximately 18,900 square feet. Plan area is 9,800 square feet. Leasable area is 9,790 square feet. Land to plan area is 1.93 to 1. On page one of my appendix, which is right after page 7 of the main brief, there's the subject map. So it's located in the northwest quadrant, Brooklands. Bottom is the subject boundaries. On top of page 2 and bottom is the subject aerial views. Same with 3 and 4. And then on page 5 is the street views of the subject property. On page 6 is the building section. So again, built in 2002, 1-story, 9,790 square foot building with a wall height of 21 feet. So on page 7 is the income and expense mailer that was submitted. So they're indicating it's an owner-occupied building, but they're still charging themselves net rent. So I assume they're transferring income from one entity to another, and they're transferring that income at a rate of $9.40 per square foot as per page 8, tenant row there. And then on page 9, 10 is the COVID supplemental questionnaire. You'll note that the COVID has not impacted them. So going back to my page 3 of the main brief. There's my rent comparables. So all comparables are industrial warehouse property, such as the subject. All leases are current in relation to the reference date. Effective year built ranges from 1977 to 2000. Average wall heights range from 16 feet to 28 feet. Leasable areas range at different intervals from approximately 7,400 square feet to 10,600 square feet, and net rents range from $8.25 to $10.50 per square foot. On the following page is our workup. So we're utilizing an overall net rental rate of $9.52 per square feet. Market vacancy of 6.5%. We're utilizing 3% for non-recoverable expenses and $3.85 for vacancy shortfall. This results in an NOI of $82,079. We're utilizing a cap rate of 6.05%. So again, as per the industry reports from Colliers and CBRE, they both indicate that the industrial market remains robust and in demand for Q1 2021. Vacancy has been low and stable. Absorption has been quite good. Net rents have increased and cap rates have tended lower. And the pandemic has had virtually no impact on the industrial market in Winnipeg. Therefore, given the strong state of the Winnipeg industrial market over the last number of years and strong forecasts, I believe that the assessed value of $1,357,000 to be fair and equitable, and I respectfully ask that the board confirm this value. Thank you. I'm open to questions.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Any questions?
Yes, just quickly. So looking at page number 3, the rental comparables here. First comparable there, 1305 King Edward Street. So this fronts right on Route 90, correct?
Yes.
And that would be Prairie Mobile Communications, and they're doing sales, service, and rentals of their product out of that. So more of a retail, commercial location. Is that fair to say?
It's an industrial property, yes.
Okay. Numbers 3 and 4, 1680 Notre Dame and 1725 St. James Street. So this is the St. James Business Center developed on, I believe it was the old, was it Labatt warehouse site, owned by an institutional investor, Quadrille. Total of 515,000 square feet of high cube warehouse space there. Owner owns $27.4 billion worth of property. Would this be a comparable to the subject?
Well, we're comparing the leases, so the lease would be comparable. I mean, it has a higher wall height, but other than that, the lease is in place there.
So, and you're aware of what that property is, are you?
Yes.
And you would consider that to be comparable to the subject?
Well, the lease is comparable, so I've answered your question. The only thing I would say is the wall height is larger, but I could not find smaller wall heights.
Okay. In terms of quality, would you consider it to be of the same?
Yeah, they built around the same era, so yes, I would.
So if we had images of the two properties before us here today with the glazing and the extensive loading court.
Madam Chair, I think I've answered the question. I don't know how many times he wants to ask me the same question.
I agree. He has answered.
Fair enough. Let's move on to capitalization rate. So you've indicated on page 5 that the cap rate that was used in the last cycle was 7.5% in the decision. You're 1.45% less than that in your valuation this time?
That is the model that was generated, yes, the model rate.
And 6% would essentially be the bottom end of, or the premier end of your capitalization rate, 20th to 80th percentile?
No, that's right in the middle, between 5.55 and 7.45.
Okay, you would agree it's at the bottom end of the market participants?
Sorry?
I say, would you agree that it's at the bottom end of the range for the market participants that you refer to?
I don't understand what you're saying there.
So you've indicated Colliers and CB Richard Ellis have cap rate ranges within your document, and this would be at the bottom end of their range, would it not?
Yes.
Okay. Those are all of my questions. Thank you.
Mr. Gorndo, any questions?
No questions, Madam Chair.
Any questions?
No, I have no questions. Thank you.
I have not either. So, Mr. Smith, please proceed with your presentation.
All right. So 2008 Logan. The subject property was valued for a number of cycles. Erroneously, it was valued as a vehicle service garage. It's not a vehicle service garage. It's an industrial building. It doesn't have lifts, et cetera. They don't service vehicles there. They do manufacturing on site. Looking at my page number 3, 2023 assessment of $1,357,000. We have indicated the 2020 assessment. Now, 2020 as well as 2018 were both valued as vehicle service garages. Those drive higher rental rates and greater values typically in the modeling by the city. We were not necessarily in agreement with those values that came out, but that was the decisions of the boards at that time. The properties built in 2002, we have a very small land to plan area ratio, 1.93 to 1, as you indicate. The rent that they pay internally to themselves is a book rent. It has no bearing with regard to market evidence with regard to what a fair market rental rate would be. I have photos of the property beginning on page number 5, both exterior and interior. You can see that it's a manufacturing facility. There's a very small reception and office area in the front corner of it. Site is shown on page 9, and this is important. It's on Logan Avenue. It's not on Route 90. It's not in an industrial park per se. So you're not looking at a premier location of any kind. There's no real profile here, very little drive-by traffic in comparison to, say, a Route 90 or St. James Street, etc. The location is shown on page 10, and we can skip forward to the actual valuation on page number 13. So I've given you quite a bit of information here with regard to rental rates. Subject 2008 Logan. Again, not high profile. And you can see the comparables that we've provided here. I've given you a couple that are in the Terracon Industrial Park at $9 and $9.50 per square foot, that being in 2018 on a 5-year lease. Modern flex warehouse built in 1989, 20-foot wall height, great loading, excellent location. You'll see the photo in a minute. One Terracon being the same. 21 Omans Creek. We have a photo of that for you. Again, relatively recently built in 92, 22-foot wall height. Superior building to the subject property, $8.95 a square foot. 1457 Chevrier, excellent location in Port Garry, $7.25 a square foot in 2018. And we can skip down if you wish and see the rest. The range of our rental rates is between obviously a low of $6 a square foot for a property located on Lagimodiere, 851 Lagimodiere, up to a high of $9.50 a square foot. Now, the two Terracon properties are essentially put in there to help frame the proper valuation for the property. It's not that we believe that $9 and $9.50 are appropriate values. It's that this is what you get for $9 and $9.50 in the market. If you look at the top of page 14, you can see an image of number 9 Terracon and an indication of what that property is like. Now, the rear of the building, as I said, excellent loading, etc. 21 Omans Creek, similar modern building built in 92, 22-foot wall height, $8.95 a square foot. There's some photos of the other comps there for you. When we look at the subject property in relation to it, it's a heavier use that they have of the particular property. It's on Logan, not on the corner of Route 90 or anything of that nature. So there's really no profile. The comparables are generally all superior in terms of their amenities, dock level loading, large paved loading areas, etc. This is an inferior location, grade level loading, very little parking, and a very small land area. So we're applying $8 per square foot for these reasons. If you skip forward, we can run through the expenses very quickly. I believe it is all summarized on my page number 25. We've applied a lower vacancy rate than the city of Winnipeg at 4% versus 6.5%. Obviously, we have our expense allowance discussion, which I'm saving us time by not going through. Happy to answer any questions on that. We're at 7%. And then we need to look at capitalization rates again. So our comparables remain the same as shown on page 19. The market participants, commercial brokerage market participants ranges remain the same, and the subject property in relation to their ranges, it would fall outside typically of being considered an investment grade property. It's owner occupied. It's in a lower end location on Logan, where it's located, surrounded by older properties. It's not like it's a developing area. If we look at the evidence present here, they're stating ranges for investment grade properties between 6 and 7.25%. Given the size of the property, we have applied a cap rate of 7% in our analysis, taking all of this into account, summarized on page number 25. So you can see our valuation using the cap rate of 7%, applying a market industrial rate of $8 per square foot based on the comps, giving us a final market value of $977,000. And again, I would caution the panel that in prior cycles, the property was valued as a vehicle service garage. So the board decisions from the past number of cycles are not based on the same valuation model as it is in this cycle, as it should be. That is my presentation. Thank you.
Mr. Dustin Mohammed, any questions?
Yes, thank you. Mr. Smith, so the property is assessed as storage warehouse currently, is that correct?
That is correct, yes.
Your page 13 for your lease comparables, have you included any of the tenant roles?
Sorry, I'm just skipping back to your page 1. So it says parcel use, industrial light manufacturing.
Top of page 4, income work up there.
Sorry, could you repeat your question, please?
No, you were looking for storage warehouse, top of page 4.
Yes, so it's been assessed as storage warehouse, yes.
In regards to your comparables, you didn't include any of the tenant roles, did you?
That's not something that we typically need to do at the Board of Revision. We provide the information for each of the comparables as we have the information on it, and condense it for the purposes of the board. We don't provide the rent rolls, no.
Have you indicated that if any of these were step up rents?
I don't believe that was indicated in the information on page 13, but these were the leases struck again as of the dates indicated.
So are you aware that currently one Terracon is at $10 per square feet?
It certainly may have stepped up since 2015, and in fact, it would be at this point, being 2022, their 7-year lease would
actually at the reference date, it's $10 per square feet. Are you aware of that?
So this gets into an issue, and we've run into this, I believe, ourselves previously, where we have the information that we were able to gather doing our due diligence as valuation professionals. We do not always get every exact lease, etc. We provide as extensive information as we can. We attempt to verify any additional details such as that. If it's stepped up to $10 and the city has that information, then that's fine. I take you at face value.
Okay, and also 21 Omens Creek is now $967 as of the reference date.
Certainly, and as I indicated, both of those properties are significantly superior to the subject.
And so you're basically stating that your rental rates could be older, or you just don't know what they are at the reference date?
No, what I'm indicating is that the leases that we've provided on our page number 13 as market rent comparables are appropriate evidence of market rental rates to review in framing an effective market rental rate for the subject property. Now, as I stated, you may have some additional information that we were not able to glean on the public market. we're not stating that our rates are old and we should rely on old rates. If you look at the rates that are provided, the vast majority of them are in the 2018 through 2020 timeframe. So I think we're quite solid here. If we look at the rents at the bottom of my chart, they range from $650, $725, $650, $875 in properties in 2020 and 2019, all significantly superior to the subject.
So you're indicating that 26 Bunting, for example, is superior to the subject with a 16-foot wall height built in 1971?
You're selecting a single comparable out.
Okay, how about 7 King Edward, 1832 King Edward there, 19-foot wall height built in 79.
So let's review that. We have property located on Route 90 with significant market exposure, lots of drive-by traffic, with a very similar wall height to the subject property. Yeah, absolutely, I would.
And so that is a
subject. Yes.
That is a multi-tenant building with overhead doors in the back. I think around they're not 19-foot door height, is it?
I'm unaware of what their door height is for that particular.
But it's a multi-tenant building, 3 buildings on King Edward there. It's multi-tenant with one overhead door in the back. Is that correct?
It is a multi-tenant building fronting on Route 90, yes.
And you feel that that is superior to the subject property?
I feel that the location for the subject property drives the rental rate up for that particular comparable. As you can see, it's at $7.25 per square foot. We're at $8 per square foot. So no, I'm not stating what you did. We've looked at the market evidence in total and made an appropriate estimation of what a fair market rental rate would be. We're above the rent that you're stating.
So your index 6 and your 7, you didn't include wall heights, and for 6, you didn't include your built. Was there a reason for
that? Yes. So let's look at those. 1109 Wilkes. I'm afraid this is a property that, and we can look at it. Hopefully we have a photo of that particular property here. If you flip forward to page number 15, you can see an image of 1109 Wilkes at the top of the page. It's a relatively recently built property, subsequent to 2000. I did not have an opportunity to confirm the date, but it's very recently built, so similar to the subject in that fashion. And again, I didn't have an opportunity to confirm the exterior wall height, but in looking at it, it would be a fairly standard property of that time frame, probably in the 20 plus range. The other property you referred to, 1550.
Let's just go to Wilkes for a second. I'll get back to the other properties. So Wilkes, 1109 Wilkes, your page 15, that picture. And if you look at my appendix, page 5, the street views of the subject property, you feel that those are comparable?
I feel that 1109 Wilkes, given its location, is vastly superior to the subject property. I can get into the details if you wish, but it's a superior property to the subject.
In regards to your cap rates, those were the same cap rates you provided earlier on the other property that we just heard?
They are. I believe we've covered that material.
Those are all my questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Lorndo, any questions?
You're muted.
I think you're muted, Marcel. No, we still can't hear you.
There, is that better? I think I hit the right button.
Yep, we can hear you.
Okay, no questions.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Anderson, any questions?
I have no questions, thank you.
I have no questions. I need for summation on this.
No, thank you.
I'm good, thank you.
Okay, our secretary has indicated that we can proceed, so since we only have one property left, let's hear that as well. So we're at 180 Cree Crescent, and Ms. Firdaus Mohammed, please proceed when you're ready.
Thank you. File number 22-2958, roll number 070803233500. Address is 180 Creek Crescent. Roll year is 2023. Reference date is April 1st, 2021. Assessed value is $3,918,000. Parcel use is industrial light manufacturing. Number of buildings is 4. Number of premises is 1. Number of stories is 1 to 2. Actual year built ranges from 1980 to 2014. Effective year built ranges from 1996 to 2014. Wall heights range from 11 feet to 21 feet. Zoning is M2 manufacturing general. Land area is approximately 177,000 square feet. Plan area is approximately 49,000 square feet. Leasable area is 56,778 square feet. Land to plan area is 3.60 to 1. So on my appendix, page 1, which is right after page 7 of the main brief, here is the map of the subject. It's located in the northwest quadrant of the city. Bottom of that is the subject parcel boundaries. Appendix 2 is the subject overhead views. At the bottom of page 2 there is a close-up of the building. Same with page 3 and 4, and also on 5. And then at the bottom of page 5, I have some street views of the subject property. Also on page 7. On page 8 is the building section. So there's 4 sections there. You'll note that the majority of the building is at 21 feet and 14 feet. Now, underneath that, there's been some permits issued on this property, totaling about just under $600,000. On page 9 is the old sales mailer that was provided to the city. So that was for the sale in 2002. We have another sale in 2015 on page 11, but unfortunately they have not filled out everything, and the only thing that we can take from there is the sworn value is $4 million in 2015 is what they're indicating. And then on page 14, is the status of title. And if you turn to page 16 there, section number 9, originating statements, you'll see there's a transfer of land instrument registration number 4653184. That's located on page 18. So note that the fair market value of the property that they're indicating there is actually $4 million, what they indicated on their sales mailer. Okay, so going back to my comparables, page 3 of the main brief. So all comparables are industrial warehouse properties. All leases are current in relation to the reference date. Effective year built ranges from 1952 to 1963. Average wall heights range from 16 feet to 24 feet. Leasable areas range at different intervals from approximately 52,000 feet to 61,200 square feet. Net rents range from $5.50 per square feet to $6.95 per square feet. On page 4 is our workup. So we're utilizing an overall net rental rate of $5.12 per square foot, We're utilizing a 6.75% market vacancy for that region. We're utilizing 3% non-recoverable expenses and $3.85 per square foot for vacancy shortfall. This results in an NOI of $264,461. We're using a cap rate of 6.75%. So this results in a rounded capitalized value and assessed value of $3,918,000. So given the strong state of the Winnipeg industrial market over the last number of years, including the recent sale, which was for higher than the assessed value, I believe that the assessed value of $3,918,000 to be fair and equitable, and I respectfully ask that the board confirm this value. And I'm open to questions. Thank you.
Yes, I do. Thank you, Madam Chair. So in regard to the sale, you've referred to it a number of times here. So that's what I'll focus on, I guess. So you provided the original 2002 sales questionnaire on your appendix, page 9. Let me flip forward. So that's indicating a transfer from Major Drilling, who was the owner at the time and became a tenant, to Gale Enterprises and Amatus Industries Limited, correct?
Yep.
Okay, so let's skip forward to your beginning on page 14. So you have the status of title here. And we have, as of your originating instrument, a transfer from, so this is number 9, bottom of page 16. I'll just wait for everybody to get there. So it states transfer of land, and this is where the status of title indicate who the parties involved were. So it indicates a transfer from Darkall Enterprises Inc. and Gale Enterprises Inc. to Darkall Enterprises Inc., correct?
Yes.
And if we look at page number 18, with regard to the transfer document for this particular transaction, so again, your appendix, page 18, number 7 there, evidence of transfers. So we have what's indicated as Darkall Enterprises, and we have Mr. Thomas Ivor Perry signing on behalf of them. And we have Gale Enterprises Limited, Mr. Thomas Ivor Perry signing on behalf of them. So is the city aware that this is a related party transaction?
I'm not sure.
Okay. But the evidence would clearly indicate that it is, correct?
How would that indicate that it's a related party?
I've just reviewed that. The parties that were
they transferred half of the interest, but the fair market value was $4 million. So whether
so, Mr. Dustin Hammond, what I'm asking is, if the parties are related, which they are clearly indicated to be on your page number 18, the sale is not a valid indicator of market value, correct? When the property is transferring internally?
Well, they're indicating fair market value. Are they saying that they didn't conduct at a fair market value then?
You're answering my question with a question. What I was asking
Yeah,
was,
I'm not sure if they're related.
Okay, thank you. Those are all of my questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Anderson. Any questions?
With regards to the building permit value, you indicated they tally to about $600,000.
Yes.
So those building permits, are they after that recording of the 2015 sale?
They're before. So if you look at my page 8, appendix 8, one was issued in 2006 and one was issued in 2013. So it was before the sale, I guess.
Okay, that's all my questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Orlando. Any questions?
I've got no questions.
And I don't either, so Mr. Smith, please proceed when you're ready.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So just to start with, and I didn't include this information in my brief as it's not typically necessary. With regard to property sales, both assessment methodology and appraisal methodology are in agreement that there are certain categories of sale that are not evidence of market transactions, those being, well, there's a number of them. Trades that involve a government entity, trades that have undue motivation on one side or the other, trades that have special financial considerations attached to them, and certainly, again, with regard to both assessment and appraisal, trades that are between related parties are not evidence of market value in any sense. So the $4 million that is indicated in the transfer document as evidence of the total market value, with 50% of the property transferring, is not any kind of indication of market value for the subject property. I have worked for this owner for some time, and this is an internal transfer of a portion of the interest of the property to get his children involved in the ownership of his portfolio. That's what we're looking at here. The evidence that the city has provided in their document, and I refer you specifically to appendix page 18, as well as appendix page 16, very clearly indicate that it's a related party transaction. I can, with 100% confidence, having spoken to the individuals, state that that is the case. Let's move forward to my presentation with 180 Cree Crescent. The subject property, we have a photo of it at the front of our brief. You can see the exterior from the front. There is a portion of the building at the front, which is 2 stories of office space. The building, when it originally transacted in 2002, was owned by Major Drilling. Major Drilling then became a tenant in the property, and they occupied half of the building, with the new owner operating his company, Dymatech, out of the other half of the building. Subsequently, Major Drilling remained on as a tenant for quite a number of years, and then they reduced their space dramatically and dropped down to simply a small portion of the office space on a very short-term lease for a 6-month period of time. So from March 2020 onwards, Major Drilling was simply occupying a portion of the office space of the building as they wrapped up their business there. So they vacated prior to the valuation date, and the property is entirely owner occupied. We can skip back. You can see the history of the property on page number 3. Property was reduced to $3,249,000 in 2020, and we have valued the property based on our valuation at $3,618,000 for the 2023 cycle. Property is zoned M2. It is owner occupied, built in 1980. We have a 21-foot wall height for the majority of the property and a total leasable area of 50,978 square feet. Now, portion of that square footage is as shown at the bottom of page 5. It's a separate building with the lower wall height, that being the 16-foot with the entry doors as shown there. And that particular portion of the building is unheated storage, having been built in 1982. So again, photos of that portion of the property are shown at the bottom of my page number 5. Description of the property is there for you on page 4. Photos beginning on page 5 onwards. Some of the exteriors, obviously some interior, and of the office space as well. Basic functionality. It's a decent industrial building with significantly more office space than one would typically find in a building of this size. So it's overbuilt in terms of the office space on site. The property as shown on my page number 10, you can see the site of it. It is located in Murray Park Industrial, and the map indicating where that is on page 11. So we're in that area that's west of the airport. Let's move on to the valuation. Again, as I've indicated, property is fully owner occupied as of valuation date. We had a short-term lease for a tenant simply on office space that they were occupying for a very short period of time prior to the valuation date. Again, not an indicator of market rent for the subject. We are in agreement with the rental rate that is applied by the city for the subject, so we've used the same rental rate. Moving on, we are essentially looking at differences, obviously, in capitalization rates as well as the expense allowance. Now, I haven't gotten into it, and I don't intend to unless any of the panel members have particular questions with regard to it, but please note our expense allowance is 7% versus the 3% that the city of Winnipeg is allowing in the current cycle. When we look at capitalization rate for the subject property, we have a relatively large single tenant building at 51,000 square feet, essentially. It's located in Murray Industrial Park. It has a portion of its space that has significantly lower wall height and is unheated storage space. That obviously has an impact on rentability as well as demand for that particular property. Our capitalization rate study remains the same as shown on page 17, as do the major market participants, with their cap rates generally ranging between 6 and 7.25%. If we look at CB Richard Ellis's information, they consider Class B industrial to range from 6.5% to 7.25%. I've given you photographs of the comparables that we provide you on the following pages, 18 through 21. Subject property is a single tenant property, as I've indicated, which does lead to somewhat higher risk. If that tenant goes bankrupt or vacates at the end of the term, you have 100% vacancy in your property rather than a portion thereof if it is a multi-tenant property. Taking all of this into consideration, we've applied a cap rate of 7% in our analysis. This is summarized on page number 23. And you can see that the resulting value is $3,618,000 for the subject. That is my presentation, and I'm open for any questions.
Mr. Mohammed, any questions for Mr. Smith?
Yes, I have a couple, please. Mr. Smith, since you brought it up, on my appendix, page 18, in section 6 there, where it says fair market value, where Mr. Thomas Ivor Perry signed September 29, 2015, you're indicating that the fair market value of $4 million where he signed is not the fair market value?
I'm sorry, could I get you to repeat the page and space that we're
so
referring
appendix,
to
my appendix, page 18.
Yes.
Section 6 there, where Mr. Thomas Ivor Perry signed September 29, 2015, indicating a fair market value of $4 million. You're indicating and you want to put on the record that that's not the fair market value?
I think I've been pretty verbose on my answer to that question already, but I can run through it again. As I'd stated, properties that transact between related parties, as this property very clearly is, as indicated on the exact page that you indicate, are not are by both assessment and appraisal methodology are not considered to be true market sales that can be utilized as representative of market value. So
I'm not asking if that's a sale or not. I'm just asking is that the fair market value or no?
I'm not questioning that it's a sale. We're all looking at the sale here. What I'm saying is that this can't be used as evidence of true market value.
So that's not the fair market value, is what you're saying?
I can say it again if you wish with
Well, I think
the
he's looking for
additional
a yes or no
information.
answer.
I know that he is, and I'm not going to be forced into it. I've made the explanation, and it's very clear. You can't use related party transactions as evidence of market value.
All I'm asking is if it's fair market value. Was there an appraisal done? There must have been an appraisal done if he's indicating it's fair market value. Also, on your cap rates, on your page 17, those are the same cap rate comparables you utilized previously?
The identical information that we reviewed already, yes.
Okay, thank you. Those are all my questions.
Mr. Lorndo, any questions?
I've got one now.
Ms. Anderson, any questions?
I have no questions, thank you.
I think I have no questions either. So, any requirement for summation from either of you, please?
I'm good, thank you.
Mr. Smith?
I'll let it rest at that, I believe. Thank you, Madam
Okay,
Chair.
thank you. We heard all the items on our agenda today, so this hearing is now adjourned, and thank you very much for your participation.
Thank you, everybody. Have a good rest of your day.
That's it.
Appreciate your time, everyone. Thanks very much.
Thank you.